Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Supervisors Town Hall meeting. We thank you all for being here tonight. Mr. Baines, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Dr. Orth?
Here.
Dr. Lemming?
Here.
Mr. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Crisco?
Here.
Mr. Nicosa?
Here.
Ms. Hanson?
Here.
Mr. Bonneville? All present, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baines. If y'all will indulge us a second, I do have one bit of business to take care of prior to starting the town hall. We have a discussion and decision on allocation of funds from the school zone camera violations with a possible appropriation. Mr. Baines, would you like to address that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we've had speed cameras up at a couple of our schools now for several months, and as that funding has come through, we've got some projects for the Sheriff's Department that we're looking at trying to fund. So I need you first to have a resolution to allocate the revenues received from the school zone camera violations to a committed fund for the Sheriff's Office for use in accordance with the state code, because the code's actually changing here July 1st.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Baines, would you poll the board?
Yes, sir. Dr. Lemming?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Crisco?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosa?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Bonneville? Dr. Orth?
Yes.
It passed.
Very good.
The second part of this is that now that we've appropriated this money towards the Sheriff's Office, we actually have several jobs that we want to try to get done this budget year before we complete other things. So you'll find that we've handed you out a resolution that allows additional appropriation for the fiscal year for the Sheriff's Department, and the revenue is $35,924, and the Sheriff's Zone's school camera expenses $35,924.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Baines, would you poll the board?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Crisco?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosa?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Bonneville? Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Dr. Lemming?
Yes.
It passed.
Okay. Very good. Thank you all. I'm glad to see so many happy faces in here this evening as we hold this town hall. We are scheduled to have some of these quarterly, and I was hoping to be discussing something differently tonight, but it's not quite there. So we brought a few topics forward that we've been discussing as a board, and we have 4 topics listed. Others are available to speak on tonight. We'll start with county utilities, but you do not have to go in the order that is on this sheet. Feel free to address the board so we can have dialogue about these topics and whatever else you see fit. So please come forward, state your name, magisterial district. I don't see a need for a time limit, but we will adjust as time goes on. If we're here at 10 o'clock tonight, I might start cutting y'all short. But other than that, please come up, state your name, magisterial district, and we'll get this thing started. Not everybody at once.
Maybe we should just comment on where we are with utilities.
I will in a second, Steve.
Hello, I'm Jennifer.
Let's pull that. There you go.
Can you hear me now? Jennifer Witt.
Try the other one.
Other one down too? Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. Jennifer Witt, Petsworth District. I just have a couple things. When my son was murdered, I tried to bring awareness about the gangs and the drugs. And this county has a big problem. And I think something needs to be done. There's a lot of our youth. From getting into my son's accounts, I've seen kids with knives in your middle schools. I've seen kids vaping in the bath. They post everything. I see a lot of gang stuff, a lot of drugs, and I think we need to address it. I don't know if I'm at the right place to say it, but I think we need a program, and it seems to be a lot of stuff that we do for our good kids. My son was a good kid. He got around the bad people. When he tried to get out, they took him out. I just think our youth need some help. I see stuff happening every day. After he was killed, I started looking into stuff, getting more into politics and what's going on with the county. I know I keep hearing about the forensic audit. I really think the county really needs to do it. And it's not just one part, it's the whole county. Because some stuff I have that I've seen, there's something going on here. And I think that's about all. I just would like to, seriously would really like to get something to help our youth. Scared Straight, not just keep doing stuff for the good kids, the band, the honor roll. Stop trying to put these kids in, and what they do is they try to put them in the GED program so they can get them out of school, okay? They try to do that to my son. I'm probably one of the only mothers that will admit my son got to the bad people. This is a 44-year-old and a 36-year-old and some young ones, and nothing has been done. Still waiting, but I'm willing to help. I have baskets at 3 counties. I supply basketball, footballs, soccer balls, trying to give something, and then I give trophy. I used to do 3 trophies a year, trying to get kids to show a car with their parents. We need something. There's plenty to do. I don't want to hear that there's nothing to do for kids here. I'm from 1970. There's plenty to do here. But it's a lot of the parents are kids. They're drug addicts. They're kids. Can't depend on their parents. I'm a school bus driver. I would be willing to take a bus, go pick kids up around the county, and let's go do something. Have the police do it. I talked to a couple of deputies about this. Have the police do a kickball tournament. The police against the kids against the parents. Have a big day of it. Maybe do it once a year in the summertime. But something needs to be done to help our youth. And if you need any help or anything, I'm willing to help in any way I can. But definitely want a forensic audit.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this a, my name's Randy Orville from the York District. Is this a,
Can you lift them up so we can hear you a little better, Randy?
is this a ask a question or just?
Yep,
say
we're going to
something?
do, yes,
Okay.
we're going to answer. This is for dialogue. We don't get to do this at our regular meetings. When you come up, you have citizen comment, we listen, and then if we need staff, we will direct staff to try to contact you and connect with you to do this. This is so we can have the dialogue that misses from our regular meetings.
Okay. Well, like this lady said, hopefully the sheriff's department can make some money off these speeders and might be able to spend some of that money to do something to help them out. I have a couple questions. One is, whatever happened to that broadband? Did anybody from the county ever sign up to get on that? And did that cost the Gloucester County any money? And if so, how much?
To my knowledge, we had limited sign up in the county. And I believe the money that we expended was all ARPA funds. I don't know if we used any local dollars for any of that process. I know that the folks that were doing that came in with a product that would not work in our location. And they then brought in a different product. Speeds were still lacking, and I think that they're still working on trying to figure out the best path forward. But
Is that over?
to my knowledge, it's not over, but it's just slowed.
And how many years has this been going on?
This is 21.
21-ish, 22. Whenever we got notice of the ARPA funds, we dedicated some to the broadband, and it started then.
All right, are they gonna move forward on this firehouse that could have been built in 2023 now? Have they done anything to help those folks out?
So the firehouse, we got the bids back. It will be awarded to David Nice Builders. They're a low bidder. We have a couple of I's to dot, T's to cross on paperwork side of things. I believe at our first meeting in July, we will be handling the borrowing for that, hopefully to close by the end of July so that we can start sometime in August on construction.
Site plan, tell them it's good, approved, right?
Yeah, site plan is
Site
approved.
plan's approved. So they're
All right.
ready to- shovel's ready to go.
I would like to bring up the forensic audit that this other lady brought up too. I think it's something that really needs to be done for the citizens of Gloucester County. I mean, when you take the totality of the circumstances, that the way everything has fallen in line, it smells like a forensic audit needs to be done, and not only with Gloucester County. You know, it's funny, you want to raise taxes on people, and everybody votes for it. You want to do a forensic audit, people go, well, hold on a minute. Oh, well, Bob did a good job, or Fred did this, or Mike did that. But I'm glad everybody's doing a good job. I did a hell of a job too, but I didn't get no bonus. But the thing of it is when you have that many uncertainty and unanswered questions, you know, people get let go. County administrator's not here. The assistant county administrator / CFO, she leaves. Y'all raised taxes $6 million. You know, the public utilities wasn't taken care of like it was supposed to. So where did that money go all along? You know, then I get hit with my house goes up out through the roof. Ain't nobody waiting until January 1st to tax me. They're taxing me this June on my house. Where is all this? What happened to get us to this position that we're in now?
So,
You don't have to answer that.
well, no, I'm going to try to get to where we are. So we had a reassessment this year, and reassessments are controlled by the market. So Gloucester County is still a thriving real estate market. So and it's all arm's length transaction, it's what you can get for your home, then we'll decide the homes of like value or like circumstance for your neighboring homes will then determine what their new assessed rate is. And I agree with you. I've lived in my house for 7 years. It's almost doubled in value, and all I've done is lived in it.
Well, it's not just the taxes that's good. Yeah.
Right, but for years, we have run this county very, very lean. And we have tried to make sure that we have fought the tax increases. We've tried to do everything that we could to keep this thing as lean as we can. We got to a situation where the cost of doing the business of the people continues to go up. What we have not realized in the last 3 to 5 years is growth. There's been growth. There's not been a whole lot of growth in Gloucester County, probably going back to 2020 when they started the last census and finished it in 22, 0.045%. Typically, we are building ourselves on about a 1% growth, and what's what we've been doing. It hasn't realized itself in the last 5 or 6 years. There's been no new homes really to speak of, 100 homes, maybe 85, 100 people. It's nothing that's causing us to be able to save money or have money that's extra money. The growth hasn't realized. So we found ourselves this year up against a number of things. We took the money where we used to transfer into the utilities years ago to pay off the debt for the reservoir. When that became available, it went somewhere else. So then we have been given the money to the utilities department, hoping it would sustain itself, which is what it's supposed to do. I think in the past, we've had some leadership on the utility side that did not make it clear to the board what the utilities needed. We are now in a different light. We have someone who is shining lights on things that we did not realize were that big of an issue. And I think even back when we were receiving some of the ARPA funds, we tried to direct some of those ARPA funds to do some of that infrastructure stuff, only to find out it wasn't nearly enough. So we are dealing with these as best we can, but while trying to maintain it as an enterprise fund that operates and funds itself. So that's why there's the increase in rates on the utility users, because there hadn't been one in over a decade. So it's just a cascading effect of no growth. Things are costing way more than we had thought they were going to increase. I can't thank staff enough for getting us the best deal we could on insurance, because that could have gone up 27% this year, and I think we cut that number in half, if not more, from what was projected to what we finalized.
In this last, did y'all just give the like teachers a pay raise, or did somebody just get a big pay raise out of this $6 million raise that y'all had?
So, we don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. The state has said 2 or 3%.
No, I'm talking about, did the Board of Supervisors give anybody a pay raise after they raised taxes this year?
Yes, the teachers will receive 2 to 3%.
Why would you do that? Why would you give anybody a pay raise if you're having all these problems that you're just sitting here telling me that you're having? One time, maybe not giving somebody a damn pay raise, I'm not gonna, I mean, it might, I mean, you're choking everybody out for money, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give some pay raises to these. If you're gonna give it to the teachers, give it to everybody. Let's just give it to everybody. And based on what you said, explains exactly why there needs to be an independent forensic audit, not only on the county, and I know the county, they back off, say we don't want this, we don't need it, but it needs to be done in the schools too, because that's our tax money too.
Mr. Baines, was that posted today or is that posting tomorrow? The RFP?
I think it's being posted tomorrow. It's already out there. It was out
The
today.
RFP went out today for a forensic audit.
That's all I need. I appreciate everything y'all do. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Well, one more issue.
Randy?
So another thing that happened several years ago, the state, because they recognize the importance of veterans in this community, said to the counties, let's give veterans that are 100% disabled a free ride for personal property and real estate. So this has hit all the counties pretty hard. And right now, 3 years ago, what was it, 4 years ago, we had no relief for veterans. Now we have, about $1.5 million of real estate and personal property relief for veterans that are 100% disabled. And it's an issue. I mean, we're recognizing the importance of veterans in the community and to this country, but the state basically mandated to the community, this is what we'd like to do. And right now, we're looking at...
The state gave us the option to do it. And every locality said, well, that's the best thing we can do for our veterans. Yeah. And when we initiated that, we had no idea it was going to cost us last year 3 cents on our tax rate to fulfill that. And I don't remember what the total number this year. I know it went up some this year.
It's another $500,000.
Another half. So it's just shy.
And so, I mean, so that's $2 million. That's like 4 to 5 cents on the tax dollar right there. And it's hitting all the communities really hard. And there has been at least some interest in trying to ask the state to provide relief to the communities based on that, because no one really expected this size of relief to hit all these communities as it does. So that's one of the issues that we've had to deal with, that wasn't there 4 years ago.
And I appreciate that. And I'll tell you something else I don't have a problem with. All these volunteer firemen out here that put their life on the line, the county ought to be giving them something up too.
We do. Personal property tax free.
Okay.
Yeah, those,
Yeah.
And then if we had-
they're allowed to choose one vehicle to get relief from personal property tax.
All right, well, good for them. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Names.
We don't, well, I was going to, but there's people here that want to speak about everything. So we're going to handle these topics and more. So I'm not, the agenda's loose. It's just some topics we threw down. I'd rather have the open dialogue. Yeah. Yep.
Name is Carl. I live in Hayes. You know why I'm here. Yeah, I've been emailing you about the water. So I find out I don't have social media. I don't have a TV. I work on trucks and I work for the government. And I work as a contractor. And I get home and I go to sleep and I get up and go back to work. Again and again, every day. So I find out one day when I'm food shopping that you raise the water 13% on 1 July. So my question to y'all, did y'all put it to a vote? Because that is how we do it in America, is we put things to vote. But y'all didn't put it to a vote. My idea to you is to rescind it, turn it around, and all these good people here that are going to get stripped during this fuel crisis, put it to a vote and find out if people want to raise the water bill. I understand the utilities are an issue, but you know what? I'm in this with everybody else. I'm dying on fuel. I'm dying going to work on fuel. And you know what? 13% is do I stop paying my water? Because what do I do? That's my question to y'all. What do I do? What all these good people do here? Y'all just put it out there, oh, we're going to raise it 13% because we need to collect this money. But in the midst of a fuel crisis, that's my question to y'all. That's just one of many questions.
So we had I don't know, Ms. Legg, public hearings. This was done, I mean, we started this process last year, but the rates are handled with their own public hearing, and this board did vote on the raising of the water rates, or the utility rates. I believe it passed 5-2, if memory serves me correct, on increasing the rates for this year.
So I've already got emails from one of y'all that rates are going to keep going up. So if the rates are going to go up 13%, then they're going to go up again, then they're going to go up again. So where's the top? Where's the bottom of this at? So, you know, do we get to 40% base water, $50 base water, $60 base water, $100 base water? Where does it stop? Where does it end?
We agree. This is an issue that we have kicked the can down the road for years. When I got on the board, 15 years ago, there was a report that said we should be increasing water rates on a regular basis over time. We didn't. And now we are suffering from the fact that we did not do that. And we have, over the last couple of years, received numerous concerns from citizens about what's happening with the water, but we've had no choice. In order to make the utilities solvent, because it's an enterprise system, it's different from the county. It's had its own budget. It's all separate. It has to operate on its own and not operate in a deficit, and that's why we are where we are. And I'm really sorry that we're in this situation. Had we tackled this 15 years ago in a way that we should have, and that is some of the issues that go back to the original person who was in charge. We've got infrastructure problems, as all communities do. We have a hard time keeping people because our salaries for our staff are low compared to adjoining counties. We're doing everything we can to make
couldn't have picked a worse time to do this. With gas being almost $5 a gallon, I have a big diesel truck. That's almost $6 a gallon. I don't drive that a lot because I can't afford to drive it. So you couldn't have picked a worse time to do this. And while you probably won't do it, is there a way to flip it and put it to a vote, put it to Gloucester, and ask people, just ask them if they want to raise the water? Honest question. Can you put it to a vote?
Honestly, I don't think that's possible because the entire county is not on the water system or the utility system.
There are 5,700 people on our water system, in 5,500 people on our water system.
I was told in an email from you, you're Dr. Lemon, right? That you said that almost everybody that has a water line in their front yard, even if they have a well, is paying costs. You sent me an email on it.
The question you asked was,
Joe, can you get a microphone?
oh, yes, I think the question that... The question that I answered was, if there was a water line that ran in front of a residence and the residence did not tap, do they pay a monthly fee? And the answer is yes. Still, I think metered customers, there are about 5,200, am I correct, Ms. Legg, give or take? metered customers.
Yes, so we have just over 5,200 customers in our system, so that serves about 11,000 people.
Right.
So what do I do? Because my paycheck ain't going up. I'm more or less, I don't get any overtime. I work a salary job, 40 hours a week solid, and I get absolutely no overtime. Haven't had any overtime since 2024. It was the last time I saw overtime. And on my pretty much a fixed income. Whatever I make every 2 weeks is what I make. And when it's gone, it's gone. I got to wait another 2 weeks. So what do I do as inflation keeps stripping away what I make? My insurance goes up. My mortgage is going up again. Everything's going up. So what do I do when I get to where that water is $40 base rate, $50 base rate, $100 base rate? Because that's where this is going. So what do I do then? Do I just go to the county and turn my water off to save a little money? Is there an answer? And is there, there's a lot of veterans in this county. I'm one of them. There's probably some in here. Is there anything for any of us? Because I'm not a disabled veteran, but I served. I did 8.5 years on 2 submarines.
Mr. Chairman, just this 2 pieces of information, and one of them is that our costs are going up also. So everything you're talking about, we're living in the same world you are, and right now we're not meeting our operating cost. So we're basically running at a deficit. Second thing is we're required by state law, once we provide water, we got to provide you safe water. And we can't cut what we spend right now to get the water any safer than it is. And we have problems, you've heard. 17, we've had several large leaks. We don't have the crews or the people to be able to take care of it, so that cost us money that we didn't have in our budget to go in and repair the leak up there by Burley Road. Those are the things that are happening because we have put off what we have. Now, hopefully, over the next few years, as we raise rates and we get caught up, you won't see the rates continue to go up. But if you look at your utility bill, Hampton Road Sanitation District, the sewer side, if you have sewer, and only 2,000 of our customers do, they've been going up an average of 9% a year for the last decade. So they're double what they were 10 years ago.
So I've been in Gloucester since 2007. I've been here, I travel for the government, but I've been here since 2007. And I'm going to tell you right now, this 13%, this is a problem. This is a big problem. So what would you have me do? Just lay down and pay it?
Microphone.
Obviously.
Microphone.
I wish I had an answer for you. We are, as Mr. Bain said, struggling to keep the operation solvent. And I know of no other way. I mean, the board has been, over the last 2 years, been discussing the utilities more than it ever has, only because we are in a deficit situation that we should not have been had we approached this years ago. I don't have a good answer for you. We're doing our best to try to keep rates as low as we can. And, Ms. Legg will always be looking at ways to save money. If we can't raise a 13, but we have to deal with the fact that everything is going up, the cost of chemicals, the cost of, salaries. Again, we have so few people that are here helping us. And what happens is these people get a job, they work here, and then all of a sudden they find they can get a job across the river for twice the salary. And we're back to square one with, few people to solve some of the big problems, which are a lot of leaks in this system.
I thought about what I was going to say a lot. So I'm trying to be polite. I'm really trying to be polite here because I don't feel very represented right now. So I've been in Gloucester since 2007, as I said. And you know what? I generally keep to myself. I don't cause a lot of trouble. I don't go out of my way to stir the pot. But, well, I just don't feel that any of this is working. So, I'll throw out there, that there is going to be a time when Gloucester is going to need a mayor. And I'm going to throw that out there. That I just don't feel very represented right now. And, you know, we'll see where that goes. But you can't answer my question on what do I do what do I do when I run out of money? Where does that leave me? Any answers?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may. The department itself does not have a hardship fund to help people pay their utility bills, but we do have contact information for organizations that do help. There's Mission H2O. We do work with the Salvation Army. And when folks call our office, we will point them in that direction.
What does that do?
It will help individuals pay their water bills if they are unable to do so. So this is not going to take care of the rate increase, the issue that you're discussing. But as you've heard before, rate increases have not occurred in at least a decade until last year.
And I was fine with the $20.18 that I paid for years. It was not a problem.
I believe that. Unfortunately, as we've also stated, the costs for providing that water have gone up substantially. We were hit with tariff increases because of chemicals, and those are from suppliers. We have zero control over that. So the cost for providing the water and the sewer services themselves have gone up. We have aging infrastructure, and we're trying to find our way out of that. And when I come to the board, whether it be monthly or in time for the budget presentation, in fact, I went to them and said, 13% isn't going to do it. I think we're looking at 14%. And they said, I want to see it at 13%. So that's what we made happen. I can't tell you what it's going to look like in future years.
Right, and we also, when we were discussing the budget, the meals tax, part of that is now going directly towards the utilities department as well. We're estimating that somewhere in the 850 to...
Probably 900 to 935.
Right, that's what I was going to say, between 850 and 950,
Yep.
to give us that little bit of wiggle room, but we know there's an issue. And for the first, I don't know, like Dr. Orth here, I've been on the board for 15 years. For probably the first 10 years that we were on the board, water was more expensive in Gloucester County than it was pretty much anywhere else in Hampton Roads. We were charging more for our water than anybody else. We don't have the amount of users that the other localities do, but that's one of the reasons we didn't look at raising rates any sooner, is because we were already paying more than anybody else. On top of that, the entire county was paying for the debt on the reservoir. So we were hoping things would be better once we paid off the reservoir and this thing would support itself. But with market conditions, it's unable to do that. So that's why we are stuck with where we are.
So what you're telling me is all these good people here, us and me included, we just have to eat it. We just basically have to lay down and eat it.
I mean,
That's what you're telling us.
well, so when gas went from $2.98 a gallon or $4 a gallon to $6 a gallon, you have to pay, and I hate to say it this way, you had to keep buying gas to get where you wanted to go. And unfortunately, with the cost of doing business and the cost of everything, this is one of the things that this board passed, and I'll be honest with you, I voted against a rate increase.
Well, I thank you for that. I didn't know that.
The other issue that we see, though, is this was properly advertised, everything was done the way that it needed to be done, all the proper notifications were made. I apologize that you were unaware that this was going to happen, but this is one of those things that's the cost of doing business, and it has to be passed on to the end user. It's what happens in everything that every good that is purchased. If they see an increase, it just gets passed to us.
Well, one of my side issues was the water smart meters. And the emails I sent you, Robert Orth, you told me that it wouldn't go up. Still got that email. Saved it in my archives. You said the water bill wouldn't go up. It went up to $25.51 for my water. from 2018. You told me it wouldn't go up. And I just want you to know that I still got that email. Saved it from a couple of years ago when they put them water smart meters in.
But I didn't see the email. You've got a couple issues. Let's start with your smart meter. That was surely part of the rate increase, or it was actually measuring the amount of usage you were using on the water.
My bill currently right now is $25.51 unless I use a little bit more.
Okay.
I stay at a very low rate. And
So
went from $20.18 to $25.51. And that's what I'm getting at, is that
So with the rate increase, back to the smart meters, even with the rate increase, if we didn't have the smart meters, your rate would have increased. You're paying a $2.50 charge on your bill for the smart meters. But go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you.
I'll put it this way. I asked this question before and nobody can seem to answer it. When does this end?
Well, as they were trying to explain, the board, when Dr. Orth, Mr. Crisco, and I got on the board originally, there was a slight increase in utilities. Over the last few years, number of years, the board has tried to keep taxes as low as possible. And in order to keep taxes as low as possible, that included water. And as a result of keeping everything lower, it's come back to bite us in the tail. That we've had increase in expenses that have gone up, and we didn't increase revenues to match them. And as a result, that's why we're having the 13% right now. I didn't vote for it. I think everybody in this county benefits from having water service in this county. Yes, I know people are on wells, and I know it's expensive to have wells and the chemicals and everything else they use. You ask them, they'll tell you.
I would love to have a well and not have to worry about...
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just stating the facts that people sit there and say they have expenses with wells. If we would have increased the utility fees over the years, small increases, we would still roughly be where we are right now, but it would have been a gradual increase. It'd be higher based on where the studies were. But the problem that we have, and I had the same thing because with Mr. Crisco, I voted no on it. You've got a 13% increase in 1 year. Next year, they're looking at 14%. So that's preliminary estimates. We've got to control where it's going. Through smart meters, we can figure out if there's leaks. We can figure out all the different issues that are going on. You've got a lot of people some people, let me say that aren't paying their fair share of what they're using because their meters weren't working. We're finally developed that. So we're trying to figure, utilities is one of the departments where we've had people that was not only not giving us, but wasn't giving administration the answers, the information needed to direct the board. So we're trying to, with Ms. Legg's help, figure out what we've got to do to save the utility system in this county.
Any chance it will ever go back down?
Realistically, no. Has anything ever gone back down?
Yeah.
It'll go back down.
Honest question.
Yeah.
I'm an honest answer.
The only way it might level out is growth. We have some issues ahead of us where we have to make some decisions about projects that would increase the number of users and utilities. If that happens, more users, hopefully it will moderate costs over the long run. Okay, so as the issue has been, we don't have enough customers, and so it's unfortunate that the costs have to be spread over a small number of people. But the issues ahead of us, in particular, if this one subdivision passes, we have the opportunity for growth. There's also another subdivision that's been on hold, even though they've been approved. That's the reserves. Whenever that comes online, that all those houses would be on water. So it might moderate over time if we get appropriate growth of people using water and sewer.
All right.
I'm going to be really quick. My name is Angelo Andreuli, and what people in the county are struggling with their money, and I just remembered it. Our taxes are going up. Why in the world would you pay the county administrator more than the governor of Virginia when we only have like 40,000 people, and within a 3 year she got 98% pay raise and makes well over, at the time, I'm glad she's gone, and I'm glad Kathy Dale is gone. You guys are giving people too much in certain positions, raises 35% or higher. I follow a lot of counties. They only do 5 and 10% for upper management or important people that have big jobs. But why on earth, when we're struggling and you're giving these people expensive raises? That's what I want to know. And I know I read what people get. Why would that 1%, that 1.7% pay raise, didn't they pay a company at a county like $360,000 to figure out what to give the school people for a raise? Don't we have a finance department that does all that?
We gave a COLA this year. I think we gave a cost of living this year of about 2.7%. Last year, we did have a company do a pay study for Gloucester County. I forget what the total was that we paid, but I believe we found out we were a little bit better off than we thought. And I think there was about $650,000 we used to make right some of the pay steps and pay ranges in the county. Not everyone got that, but everyone got their COLA last year, and they got a COLA this year. No one in the county received a 30 or 35% raise.
Well, that's what I see online when I read up the people that are in certain positions. Maybe not this year, but the last few years.
No.
There's a lot of people that get more than they should be getting. And I don't want to hear there's no qualified people. There's plenty of people that would like to do a county administrator for 60 or 70,000, or not no 150 or 200,000.
If I put that job out at $60 or $70,000, I would get 0 applications.
I don't know. There's people
Because
that would do
I actually asked for an update today on where we are with our next search, and we're up to about 10 or 12 applicants at the moment, and it closes July 3rd.
Yeah, I think that's a little, you guys don't go to like, and I don't believe that, but there's plenty of people that want to have a good job regardless. What do you, like, people, you don't need to have, people have college degrees and different things that can do that job, you know. I'm just saying, why would you pay, I know what I read, and I see that there's a lot of people getting big raises over the, even if it's not in a few years, the last couple of years. And we struggle. And you guys are the top people in charge of the county, and you have that decision authority to say yes or no.
Right, but we haven't given any raises over a COLA in the last couple of years.
I'm talking about like Ashley Steele and all these other people that got pay raises. I'm not talking about employees or regular people.
I'm not sure.
Never mind. You guys, well, thank you anyway, but you need to, people don't know how much they're making, and that's not right.
Well,
You know?
Mr. Anduli, their salaries are published annually. And
For 40,000 people in Gloucester, so she was making 200 and something thousand, when the governor is the governor of 8.8 million people. That's all I'm saying. We're a small county. The more developments you keep bringing in, all you're doing is flooding it with people, you know,
Well,
for a job.
when you, let's go back something. Well, when we hire the next county administrator, it's going to end up costing us more than what we were paying the past county administrator.
I don't understand why.
But when you're said, but to answer your question, you've got the governor that's only there for 4 years. They're using that as a stepping stone. They're not she's not doing that, or he wasn't doing that for his salary. Some of them are doing it for the good of the Commonwealth, but they're doing it for their next job.
That's right.
They're interviewing for their next job. When we hired the county administrator, we're hiring them for their job, their full-time job here.
Right.
So,
But still, that's a lot of money to pay someone when they make more than Newport News, and what do they have? Over
They don't.
50,000?
They do not.
They don't.
So, all right, thank you.
Yep.
I am Dewana Wyke, and I'm Gloucester Courthouse. And first of all, I don't know your name in the purple dress. I'm new to this. Thank you for mentioning that there are organizations that can help people who cannot pay utility bills. I worked for a church here and interviewed a lot of people in that situation, and I'm glad to say that there are plenty of organizations that do that. I'm looking for a little education here. We moved from White Marsh, where we had a teeny tiny utility bill, to the courthouse, where we had a larger utility bill, water bill, plus HRSD. And I don't understand that relationship between our water, why some of us have Gloucester City Water and HRSD and others, because we didn't pay for that service when we lived in
So when you were
Hayes, White
when you were in
Marsh.
White Marsh, did you have a septic system?
We did have a septic system.
And so I'm assuming in the courthouse, you're on
We're on
city
city
sewer.
water. So
and sewer.
why is it going, am I understanding that the sewage gets sent under the river over to, why is that? Why is that?
Because it has to be treated, and it goes to a treatment plant in Yorktown.
Okay, so we don't
All
have
the
a
way
treatment
to-
facility here.
No, ma'am.
Okay, how many people in Gloucester who are on city, I mean, are all of the people who are on city water also doing that? So why are some of us?
It's where the sewer exists.
Okay.
They are on the city sewer.
Okay.
And being on that, now you pay us and you pay HRSD.
Right.
Because when I used to live on Main Street,
Uh-huh.
and I had a water bill and sewer bill.
Right.
And for years, I was on our Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, and HRSD sets their rates. And there's
Okay.
no oversight from a board other than the HRSD board.
Okay.
There's no state it's what they need to operate their facilities.
Right.
So if you have water and sewer, you're going to pay both. If you're only water, you don't have to pay the sewer bill.
Okay.
I think the number is 5,200, roughly, a little
For-
bit more than 5,200 on water.
for water.
And probably 2,000 on sewer.
Just under 2,000.
There are
Okay.
your numbers.
Part B of that whole question is the 13% water bill increase here. Does that, I mean, am I hearing that Hampton Roads Sanitation District is going to set their rates separately? So that doesn't mean necessarily that they will go hand in hand, although we could expect that they might increase theirs for some of the same reasons that Gloucester County is increasing.
We already know HRSD has a 10-year plan to raise their rates 9 to 10% every year, and they are not wavering on
Okay.
that. So our rates, we don't have a set-in-stone plan because we only adopt a budget 1 year at a time.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please. We got to hear, we're being broadcasted, so we want to make sure everyone can hear that's watching at home. Please, sir.
I appreciate y'all taking the time out to come down and let us talk to you and listen to our complaints. But I tell you what, we have a great county. I've been here since 2015, and it's all because of the work that you guys do, okay? I might not necessarily agree with a lot of the stuff you do, but,
Name, sir?
no, I'm sorry, Doug Murphy, York District. Actually, it's Earl Murphy, but York District, I think you're my guy. But anyway, I appreciate all the effort you guys put in, the extra time you put in to try to do this. One of the questions I have is a pretty simple one. Since I moved to Gloucester County in 2015, from 2015 to 2019, I'd go to the Gloucester Point dump, and I recycle everything. I've been doing this for years. I work utilities in Williamsburg and Anheuser-Busch. I've done it for 29 years. And bottom line is, I try to recycle all I can. We were putting glass in the commingles, no problem. And believe in 2019, it stopped. So I asked questions of the people working there. They said there's no market for glass. So I pretty much said, okay. And here recently, what I found is that there is a market for glass. And from what I understand, Waste Management takes all of our commingle that comes in those load-offs that we put in there, and they take it to TFC in Newport News. TFC in Newport News also is the same outfit that handles all the commingled glass and recycles for the city of Newport News. And Mayor Jones, bless his heart, he actually got a couple of grants to provide some purple bins, which is basically a big roll-off that has a smaller hole in it you can only put glass in. Located them in 2 locations in Newport News. One location he didn't plan really well. He actually put it at the city dump. The problem with that in Denby, you have to be a resident of Newport News to even get in there. But he put one down on Main Street, right behind the library. So we can actually take our glass down there. And we do that. We get about a month's worth of glass and we take it. What really got me on this kick was I'm trying to figure out how we can get glass recycling back into Gloucester. So I reached out to engineering department, who runs the contract with Waste Management, and I got a call back from Brian, I believe his name was. Took him a while because he was busy because y'all were doing budget, and I understood that. He gave me a guy's name named Vince, who runs the regional landfill for us in Gloucester, and gave me a number to call him and explained some of the information that I had already gathered from James City County's. They actually have a person that's called Sustainability Manager, a bigger county. They got a lot more money. But what she does is she goes out and coordinates. They actually have purple bins at all of the recycle locations, and they actually take it up to Owens and Toanna, and they take the glass because they'd love to have it because 40% energy. They want to have 40% mixed because it costs a lot less to crush the glass and refire it than it does to make it. And you think about all the green gases that you prevent and your carbon footprint. So what I was asking is if you guys can maybe help me try to figure out how we can get glass recycling back at our dumps.
I absolutely agree. When they stopped doing glass, I was like, that's the most recyclable thing you can have besides paper. And I didn't know that they were doing it. You know, it goes with commodities or anything else, you know, with what's going to be recycled as far as glass and plastic. My husband went up to the dump not too long ago. We recycle all of our paper.
Right.
And then they were like, well, we only want the, you know, corrugated paper, not the, and so it's like, he's like, just throw it all in there. And, you know, we try to recycle where we can. And when, you know, when they stopped recycling glass, I thought, well, why would you do that? It made no sense. So I would be in favor of trying to figure out, I mean, it's a small little thing that we can do to keep it out of our landfills if we're, you know, doing that, or even making.
Basically, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, and if we can make, if we can offset cost by
Mm-hmm.
recycling glass, it seems to make sense to do so.
The story that really got me started on this kick was I was at the recycle bin. Everybody that comes up there while I'm putting my stuff in, I thank them because we only got one planet. There's no planet B, okay? And there's no place we can live. This is it. So whatever we leave behind is going to be here for our great grandkids or whatever. So the whole point is, if, you know, I ran into a lady there who actually washes her glass out and takes it with her on vacation to see her family in Ohio so she can recycle it. I ran into another lady that really got me started because she takes her glass to Matthews County. Matthews County recycles glass. But see, they're not tied to Waste Management. They're tied to VPSA, who is actually run out of Richmond. And all their commingle goes to Richmond and they sort it up there. And that's where a lot of the counties handle their landfills through VPSA, not Waste Management. But we have a contract with Waste Management, and I can't remember your name. Tricia is going to give me send me a copy of the contract that we have with them because they actually pay us as a county to run that landfill for us. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that maybe it's at first I thought maybe it was just because of the cost of the weight of driving back and forth. But this is before the gas prices went up. Okay, but the reason why I'm bringing it up to you is because I can't get anybody to answer my calls. The number I got was not, the number that Brian provided me was not the number for Vince. It was for one of his managers at the landfill. And I've been leaving multiple messages in the last week and a half trying to get Vince to call me back, and I'm not hearing anything. So if you guys can See if you
We will
can
have
help
that
me with
conversation.
this. I'd appreciate it. She's got my email address.
Mr. Baines.
And, because this is something that's really easy, a really easy fix, because I guarantee if you put, if nothing else, if you put a purple dumpster there where they can put the glass in, people can put only glass inside the dumpster. That's an easy process, and there's actually a glass foundation that I found out about from the sustaining manager in James City County that actually takes glass. They give you grants to buy those purple bins, and they're locked, so you can't get in them. And what they do is they load them right up on a rollback, just like we do our regular roll-offs, and they take them. And Owens, Illinois, and Toanna will not take residential glass from residential people, but they will take it from cities. Just another option, and they crush it, and they burn it again, and they make new glass out of it. So it's a win-win all the way down the line. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mr. Baines, maybe we could get Waste Management to come to our meeting and explain their recycling issues, and that might help,
Well, I
answer
thought
some.
maybe if I could get a hold of Vince, Vince would be able to explain it to me probably in less than 5 minutes of why he can't do it. Because when you talk to people that work there, they don't really know all the politics. So basically, they gave you the line. And I actually talked to one of their area managers who was filling in for them right at Easter weekend. And he said the same thing that the guy had told me there that works there every day, that there's no market for it. But I explained to him, I said, there is a market. There's a big market. It's not like China's not buying our glass. We're using our glass here. So
Well, if there's no market for glass, then the recycling of solar panels, we're in trouble for, because we've been told they can be recycled, and glass is a big portion of that.
but that's
So,
true, yeah.
yeah, maybe we ought to find out, make sure there is.
I think it would be something I think the county would really get behind, because you can imagine, every one of us has glass,
Right.
Everything that I do, me and my wife do together, we end up with about a bag, a 15-gallon kitchen trash bag in about 2 months. that we
Where
keep
do
in the
you
back of
take
the
your
car.
glass? You said
Huh?
there's a recycle bin behind the library? Here?
Right there,
Oh,
Main
Newport
Street
News.
Library in Newport News.
Oh,
They
okay.
put it right behind there, and you have to pull around the back of the building, but they don't ask you what county you're from. They just want the glass.
Correct.
And when they fill that up, they use their resources in Newport News to pull it to Toanna. And then they unload it and they bring it back.
Yeah.
Mayor Jones put that together.
We will have staff get a hold of Mr. Jameson and figure out why this is continued and why they're not taking advantage of the other opportunities in the area.
Thank you, that's all.
We will
I
do
can
that.
ask. Now,
And we will follow
I
up
wanna
with you
thank
as well.
You guys for having this town hall.
Yep, and we will follow up with you.
It's an opportunity for us to intermingle and actually learn a lot about what you guys do every day. And I appreciate the effort, because I know it's hard. You guys all have full-time jobs. A couple of you are physicians, I guess, I'm assuming, if you're not retired. But I appreciate it, I really do, because I can't imagine how y'all do it.
Let me answer a couple questions for you.
Sure.
The problems started in scrap in '89, so I know a little bit about it. Our recycled material goes to West Point, does not go to Newport News.
Really?
It goes to a MRF. Paper, they want the cardboard because it's a market that they can actually sell. When the paper's commingled in with the corrugated cardboard, the value goes down.
Sure.
The glass, and actually, with Corning, they must be making brown glass. Because if it's any of you can put one brown bottle or one green bottle in with clear glass, the whole load is rejected.
Okay, so that must be what they're doing with the purple bins when they haul them out of James City County.
Yeah, because you
And Newport News.
can't mix the glasses.
Okay.
You can make browns, but you
Sure.
can't, it's got to be clear.
Right.
So that's where the issue is coming. They'll actually have optical scanners that sorts out the colored glass when they're making white glass.
Really?
So the cost of recycling is it's high, but it's cheaper than what it is on raw materials.
Well, 50%. What
But
they explained to me was it cost 50% almost, pretty close to 43%.
so that's why they're doing it. But with us, we don't generate enough. And Mr. Baines and I, we toured a facility in Chester 3 or 4 years ago, see if our material could go there. And they didn't recycle any glass there. And that was coming, you remember what municipalities that was coming from?
It was down in Chesterfield, and they were picking up everything from West Point, And I think,
Charlottesville, Lynchburg.
It was GLF was the company instead of Waste Management.
Yeah, it's VPSA right now, that's who's running it. I confirmed with them.
But
That's where
VPS
Matthews is hauling their, sending their glass to.
VPSA goes out to right off Commerce.
I think it's up there, right there in Richmond.
Yes. So that's where they're going, but then they're going to sit there and still send it out.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for it. You know, the recycling glass is not as easy as it sounds.
Okay. So they got to have a sorter, basically, it boils down to. And maybe they've got that in Richmond. And maybe they've got that in Chesapeake, because TFC doesn't. I was under the impression, because the guys at Gloucester Point told me that all of our commingle from WMA, actually, at the point dump, actually goes, those roll-offs get hauled down to Newport News, to TFC, to Tidewater Fiber. So you're sure it all gets hauled back up to
West Point.
West Point?
Because Tidewater Fiber's facilities in Chesapeake.
In Chesterfield.
Chesapeake.
Oh, in Chesapeake on
Tidewater
the side of
Fibers.
the river. Yeah, but they also have a satellite in Newport News. And that's where Newport News does all their commingle. They don't separate it. They just ask for the glass, because I lived there for 25 years before I moved to Gloucester. And we just had a bin. And they still have that, because that's what I was wondering. Why would Mayor Jones come up with these purple bins? Why would he put them there?
They've got the purple bins because people want to recycle them. We can put the purple bins.
Yeah.
But the material, what you're putting in your recycling at your house is mainly your cardboards and your plastics.
Yeah, they're also
And the
still picking
papers.
up glass too.
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought. I thought they had switched over. I thought maybe they'd said no glass. You can't put it in the household recycle, but you could haul it somewhere. So I called Newport News, and Newport News still does curbside recycle, and that's one of the things on their website. They take all glass. All it's got to be is rinsed and the lid's off of it. So I think what he ended up doing with the purple bins is he just did that so that they would have another opportunity, because, you know, the way Newport News does their curbside recycling, you don't opt out of that. It's the same thing with utilities we have here. You're there. Okay. No matter whether you hook up to it or not, you still got to pay for it. Everybody pays. Okay. So if you can just get back with me and see, just to get an answer.
Yes, we'll get that and get it
I
back to you.
appreciate it, because I mean, I know glass is a lot heavier than regular paper and stuff. So, all right, thank you, appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Hello, my name is Sarah Norman. I'm pretty new to Gloucester, about going on 2 years, so honestly I'm not quite sure what district I'm in. I live in Dunstan Hall, right near the high school, right next to the high school.
Abingdon District?
Okay. Is this the right format to ask about traffic issues?
Sure. We'll answer what we can, but it's mainly a VDOT issue, but we will do what we can.
Well, so it's kind of a niche issue in our neighborhood, Dunstan Hall, right next to the high school. There are a lot of walkers to the high school. There is not a sidewalk coming out of our neighborhood right there to the high school. So a lot of the kids will cut through so there is a small sidewalk that's not all the way.
It's starting next year. It's already been approved.
Okay, awesome. Also though, the kids will generally cut through one of the cul-de-sacs in our neighborhood that butts right up against the parking lot, the teacher parking lot. And honestly, I think it would be a great idea, and I'm just throwing this out there, if there was a little cement walkway or something there. I don't know if that is owned by the homeowners there, that property. But I mean, I think it would be worth asking them, like, would they oppose a nice sidewalk there? Because for one, it would keep the kids off the road. During drop off and pickup, it gets very backed up and it's not very safe there. So I know if I lived there, I wouldn't mind at all just having a little cement, sidewalk there so that the kids could just go through. My daughter started riding her bike to school, so that would be kind of cool for her too. And she, as far as the bike, she had to get permission from the principal to ride her bike to school, because I guess there's no bike racks at the school. So she's having to hook it up to a fence or something. I don't know. So a bike rack at the school would be kind of cool.
Dunstan Hall have an HOA?
Yes.
I was going to just ask that, because I know they came to us with regard to golf carts
Oh, okay.
a couple years ago. So you might want to just bring it up with the HOA, because they have access to, opportunities that could help answer some of your questions.
I thought they had an HOA.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
It's probably a combination of the HOA and the school board.
Right,
To be
okay.
honest with
School
you.
board.
But I suspect that section of the cul-de-sac that you're talking about is actually owned by the HOA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's a pretty good size area there that's
Right.
outside the
Right.
houses.
And as far as the bike rack, I can make a suggestion kindly to Dr. Vladu that the school board look at bike racks, but that's the school board.
Okay.
I'll do that. I mean,
Oh, I don't mind
I think
doing
it's a
it.
good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad idea, and I'm sure that, if they had an interest, Dr. Vladu will find a bike rack someplace, but.
I mean, my daughter and her friend have started riding bikes, so.
Well, they've got a unit in school that they could probably make it right there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got a crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And while we're on the subject of the school and the traffic, has it ever been, I apologize if this has already been asked before, but has anybody ever thought about putting up at least a sign that says, "Do not block the entrance to our neighborhood"? Because like I said, for drop off and pickup, it's crazy right there. And it's dangerous trying to get out when you can't quite see because there's other cars coming. So I don't know, if there could be.
So I do know that VDOT does the Xboxes, not the game console. That they'll do that a lot of time in front of residents, and that's something we could probably talk with.
We'll get a hold of Lee or Drew
Yeah.
Hammond at VDOT, and I'll send a note to them.
That would be awesome.
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've gone by there, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's
At
really
about,
bad.
They start lining up at 2 o'clock.
Right.
So, yeah.
It'll just be a straight line there for a while. Yeah.
All right, so let me see if I can help you with so I park on that parking lot, so I see those children come in every day. And my suggestion would be that you call the school board office and you speak to Brian Hartley and start the conversation with him. And whoever your HOA representative is, because you not only do you have children that cut through there, but you also have staff members that live in your neighborhood, and a lot of them leave their cars in the driveway because they're just cutting through and they're at work. So that would be what I would do. My first conversation would be with Mr. Hartley. If you just call the main school board number and leave him a message, he'll call you back, and then get with your HOA. And I'm going to agree with you about the traffic, because sometimes I am late for work, not because I'm late, but because I'm sitting in the same traffic. And I try very hard to be cognizant of your neighbors who are trying to get out as well. So I will slow down if I see an opening for somebody in your neighborhood to get across when I'm coming. I will let them across, because I know if I don't, they're gonna sit there forever. But I will tell you that, because you can't see it from your house, there are two gentlemen that in the morning time, their job is to get those cars in and get them out. So there's one on the right and one on the left. So there is some movement there. However, that is a good idea, and I actually talked to a young lady that lives in your neighborhood about there being some passageway. And so my suggestion, as I said, start with Mr. Hartley and whoever your HOA president is, and see if we can't work together and get something done, because they just repaved that whole area. So at least when they cross through the woods, they're walking somewhere nice, because as we know, everybody here knows, that's where the trailers were, and there were big divots in the the street, but now it's good. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you. I appreciate
To
that.
have a conversation with him first.
Okay, I appreciate that. And you're right, those two gentlemen that direct traffic are amazing. They deserve some sort of recognition, you guys. They are amazing. And one last thing. Like I said, I've only been here about 2 years. On 17, again, this might not be y'all's issue, but I just wanted to say, has there been any sort of study on why there are so many accidents out there? I mean, I know you guys are probably laughing at me, but because it's probably been happening for years and years, but my gosh, it's like a couple times a week there's terrible, terrible accidents out there. People are losing their lives, and my daughter's going to be driving here in the next couple years, and I'm terrified.
I think that stays on VDOT's radar.
Okay.
So I think that's an ongoing study, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just went through the whole approval process, where they went out and had public hearings. It's actually handled like a Frederick Square style.
Okay.
And you go on their website, they'll actually show you what intersections that they're looking at.
So they are doing a study. Okay.
They do it every year. I mean, well, they monitor it and keep track of it annually.
Yeah, VDOT is responsive to some issues. So, for example, the left turn at Crew Road where Kroger is, that now is a red light to make a left-hand turn. It only comes on blinking at a certain hour, because that's where a lot of accidents were occurring. So they will, make adjustments based on public outcry and numbers of accidents.
Okay. Just wanted to ask.
But let's be real, the problem on 17 is multifactorial.
Right.
I mean, distracted driving or altered driving is probably number one, and number two is probably speed. Quite frankly, the
Correct.
speed on that section of road is not well controlled.
I came from Yorktown. I was in Yorktown for 8 years, and I know the speed limit's a little slower through there. And I talked to my husband. I said, it's got to be something to do with the speed through here, and I'm not saying to lower the speed limit or whatever, because, I know people got to get where they got to get, but I think it is a factor. I think you're right. So, thank you.
Steve Wyke from the Gloucester Courthouse. Everybody needs to be recycling. This guy just left. We're here not to talk about that, but all the cardboard and aluminum needs to be recycled. And people are not educated on recycling. They're just not. Maybe you put something in the beehive thing, I don't know. People are not educated and they don't care. I have a proposal to increase costs for this gentleman here. And I don't mean this bad, but we have a lot of people that are pigs in our county. And I'm proposing a new role. I don't know where this falls. They're going to have to pay them a living wage. It's going to be at least $25 an hour. No overtime. You give them a truck. I don't know if they're part of maintenance. I don't know where they would fall, but they would spend 40 hours a week picking up garbage all over the county. You would give them a truck. I know this sounds crazy. They would be working 40 hours, no overtime. You give them everything they need, markers, blazers, whatever. It would be a job that would not end. Okay? They go no more than 8 or 10 feet off the road. If there's a mattress, they call for backup. Okay? I know you think I'm crazy, but we have a lot of garbage problems on the road in Gloucester. And here's the real caveat. You give them, and it's paid for by the county, you give them a $500,000 life dismemberment or policy, okay? So if they get hit and they're dismembered, you pay it out regardless, and then they are retired from that job. They probably would have to take a physical, be able to do the job. I would do it, but I'm a little too old. I think there's merit. You're probably looking at $50,000, $55,000 a year. That's a lot, but there would be no overtime. and you'd have to give them a truck, even if it's used, and give them all the equipment they need. It could be a male or a female, and they would stay busy all the time. And it's a problem. You're all shaking your head because you know it's a problem. And I hate to say that there's pigs in the county, but I'm going to say it. There's pigs in the county. And, you know, it's a problem. So, you know, maybe next year or the year after. So, anyways, thank you.
Mr.
Chair?
Yes, please.
The Virginia Code allows localities to impose a plastic bag tax of 5 cents. 1 cent goes to the merchant, and then 4 cents goes to the locality. And that money must be utilized for litter control. So I have long advocated what was Mr. Mr. White partially indicated, and that is if Gloucester County were to impose a 5 cent plastic bag tax, we could utilize that funding for a full-time or part-time employee to clean up the trash, which is a problem in Gloucester County. I continue to advocate that. I have for the last 18 years or 17 years. And the other portion, perhaps, if there's any left over, could be utilized for enforcement. And that is, we have laws against littering in Gloucester County, which are heretofore unenforced, not because the sheriff is not doing his job. He is doing his job. But in order for the sheriff to ticket someone for littering, he needs to see it, or one of his deputies needs to see it, or he needs to have evidence that this person has littered. So what we could utilize with that 4 cents is a part-time or full-time employee to clean up the trash, to make Gloucester County the life of the land worth living, and for selective enforcement in those areas which are habitually the subject of dumping and littering. And we could ticket those people, and as the county attorney, I would gladly prosecute those people. So I know this is out of my lane, and I apologize for that. And so, Mr. Meyer, this is my personal opinion. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dr. Lemon.
To dovetail onto the plastic bag issue, I think what you're speaking about, Steve, more than anything is roadside litter. I think that's where your current conversation. But I'm a water guy in my spare time, and these bags, the plastic bags especially, are especially bad in the bay, and they're bad in the rivers. I mean, what we're doing to our rivers and our bay with these bags that don't ever break down is just criminal. I mean, the microplastics is just, and so I'm going to just say for the moment, I've had this opinion, I've never shared this before, but I've always thought that we should not have plastic bags at all, and if the only way we can get rid of them is to tax them, then I think we should tax the plastic bags. Now, there is code that says, what do you do with that money? I defer that to council, but if nothing else for the waterways, I really think that we should act against plastic bags. They are not good for our economy, our ecology, and our waterways and the health of the Chesapeake Bay. And every time I'm on a boat and I see one of these things in the water, I actually stop and pick it up and try to probably put it in waste management's landfill where it will be for the next 150 years. But so it's more than just roadside trash. It's a broader conversation that it affects.
It's a major issue in the water now. I didn't know that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address that. I'd like to address that.
All right. Good evening, supervisors.
Okay. I was going to rebut kind of what Joe said. I mean, I do believe in recycling, and I do believe that we need to do something about the trash that's being thrown out. But everything's in plastic, not just the plastic bags. I mean, we do have an issue, and we can talk about 5 cents on a plastic bag, but our potato chips, our bread, everything's in a plastic bag. But at the end of the day, being able to enforce and using any resources, to be able to get that cleaned up. I know they do clean up right before they do the mowing. They did that, a crew came through, and then they would mow. But it does need to be done more often. I've been to California, and no one does anything. And the streets are littered, the highways are littered with trash and garbage, and, we want to keep our community clean. Maybe some educational programs too about recycling, maybe at the educational level at schools. I think we need to re-implement that, because the kids don't, if they go home and see mommy and daddy, because I grew up in the city and I didn't recycle until the kids came home and said, "Don't throw that can in the trash can, that's not nice," because they heard it at school, right? So, then it made us think about recycling and doing the right thing by our environment. And I recycle religiously now. But, my kids came home and educated me about that, because I grew up in an age of my dad thinking the cleaning out the car was throwing it out the window. Remember the Indian with the tear and don't litter, and, that really had an impact on me as a kid. So, we can all do better as citizens than watching our neighbors. And if we see somebody, that's trying, we have a partner, somebody's in there throwing their stuff out of their car, we need to say, hey, that let's not do that. Let's wait till we go to the home or whatever, because, recycling as a whole is important to our environment. And I wholeheartedly believe that, but maybe really starting to re-implement some educational classes to the kids and understanding what that means and where it goes. So I would like to talk to maybe someone on the school board about implementing a program to remind the kids about the recycling programs that we have and what that means to the environment.
Thank you. And good evening, supervisors, and thank you for holding this town hall and for taking the time to listen to residents this evening. My name is Jeannie Pendergraft. I live nearby in Sarah's Creek near Gloucester Point in Hayes, and I'm speaking tonight because I'm concerned about the proposed 7-Eleven at the former Rite Aid site on George Washington Memorial Highway. I missed the forum, but I wanted my voice to be heard. And while I understand the desire to bring a new business into a currently vacant property, I respectfully believe that removing the 2003 proffers and allowing a modern convenience store with gas pumps by right is not the best use for this important gateway corner. My main concerns are traffic and safety. Route 17 is already a very busy corridor. Adding another convenience store directly across from Walgreens will create more turning movements, increased congestion, and higher accident risk for families and daily commuters in this area. Community character. Gloucester Point has a special smaller scale coastal feel. A standard 7-Eleven design and signage could make our main entrance feel more generic and overly commercial instead of preserving the village-like character that residents value. And there are plenty of convenience stores and gas stations on the way to that area. Rather than another gas and convenience store, I asked the board to consider more compatible redevelopment options for this site, such as a small medical clinic or an urgent care, a local restaurant, coffee shop, or family-friendly retail business, professional offices, or a service business that generates daytime traffic instead of peak evening impulse stops. These alternatives could still provide economic benefit to the county while creating fewer negative impacts on traffic, safety, and neighborhood character. I respectfully request that the board carefully review this application, consider keeping or updating the original proffers, and ensure their redevelopment truly fits our community. Thank you for your time and your service to Gloucester County.
Ms. Pendergraft, I absolutely agree with you. We have 6 gas stations. I would make it 7 in our area. We're a gas station and tattoo parlor in Gloucester Point. It is absolutely a shame that we've lost some of our character to business. I mean, I understand that, we do need to grow business-wise, but, my husband and I both had a conversation about it, and then if they do put the 7-Eleven up, are they going to close the other 7-Elevens? Then you have more abandoned buildings. We already have enough abandoned buildings in the Gloucester Point district that are not being utilized, and yet we built a brand new Starbucks, and I like Starbucks, but, over there near Chesapeake Bank, wouldn't that have been a great location? I think it would have been a great location for the Starbucks instead of putting it where it was. But, I don't really support putting any more gas stations in. I don't think it will bring more revenue. It's just going to spread that revenue over other, between the Wawa, and some people like Wawa, some people like Sheetz. I don't really, maybe through the pass or through people, maybe, but I don't really think it's going to bring the exponential income that people might say, we would have to close another gas station down. It's just going to shift that money around. It's not going to improve our quality of life, and I wouldn't support it. And I really, at this point, I would vote no on that.
Mr. Chair, I believe this is on our agenda for the July meeting, so we'll be, as a board, addressing the issue because the Planning Commission did vote 4-3 for it. So now it comes to the board, and we're the ultimate deciders on any of the decisions that come from the Planning Commission.
But I just want to make clear, though, this is private business asking us to do something. It would be great if we had someone who wanted to establish a medical facility there or any other kind of business. Someone is coming to ask us to do, to remove proffers from the 2003. Unfortunately, in my eyes, and doing this for so long, to me, I don't see it as 7-Eleven wanting to come there as someone wanting to change this zoning from what it was in 2003 to a newer, more updated usage in 2026. Yes, there's gas stations. There's gas stations by right. There's other businesses by right. But again, unless someone wants to present us with a different opportunity, who's willing to purchase the land and do this, the county doesn't have a whole lot of ability to determine who develops what parcel.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Hanson, then Dr. Lemming.
I believe that, we are 7 people that can vote and say that we don't agree with that in our district or in that area. It's not a right fit. And just because someone offers to come in and do something, is it right for the community? Is it right for what we are looking for in Gloucester? Certainly if a strip club came in and said they wanted to put a strip club there, which is not legal here, and certainly as somebody that's offering money, just because they're offering it doesn't mean that we should accept it. I mean, yes, that property's been sitting there a long time, but should we wait for a better offer? Should we wait just because someone is waggling cash in front of us just to make something that doesn't suit our...
I didn't realize anybody was waggling cash in front of us, but everybody gets hung up on it being a 7-Eleven, but what if it was, something else that you didn't want? I mean, it's a private business asking the county to make a change. That's how you have to look at it, in my opinion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dr. Lemon.
This is the issue of landowners' rights versus public rights and desire. That's what this is all about. And I'd kind of divide the conversation if I would. I'm not sure that I or any governmental entity can decide what the highest and best use of a parcel that's owned privately is. That's the landowner's discussion, what they want to do with their parcel to the highest and best use, as long as it conforms to the zoning requirements that are present. And so, it is entirely possible. I've seen, for example, 7-Elevens that do fit colonial character in certain places because they made proffers and they designed the buildings that fit in nicely. So, I understand. I watched the tape at the PC. I saw the vote of 4-3. I'm not sure I'm in favor of waiving the proffers. I'm not sure I have the personal foresight to decide what business goes there. It's not my job. I'll also add, just for fun and the completeness of the conversation of the room, that property has been marketed by our economic development team ever since that drugstore closed, and there's been no true interest in it for at least, 4 or 5 years, you think? So now that the landowner has found an interested business, for us to just castigate the business on what it does is awfully business unfriendly, and I don't want to have anything to do with that.
This is strictly a case of changing the proffers. That's all they want to do is change the proffers so it doesn't fit the footprint and the design of the existing building. That's what they're asking for, that the original developers offered. I don't like the idea of the 7-Eleven, but it's very difficult for us to say who can come in there or can't come in there when businesses being a capitalist society, that's what wants to come in. Unfortunately, nobody else has beaten the door down to come in there. I mean, if we could put another medical building or doctor's offices, we probably wouldn't have been able to put a Starbucks in there because of with the drive-through, but everything else in there would have been too big. We couldn't have downsized. So, it's very specific on what we can put there because of the footprint of the building.
I'd like to argue that there's a reason that Gloucester County has a comprehensive plan. And we make a comprehensive plan to plan for what our future of our county looks like. So we don't have too many grocery stores sitting on top of each other, or anything that we don't want in the community that down the road we find that it's not compatible with our way of life and our living. And that's why we have a comprehensive plan. And are we going to have 100 gas stations just because 100 people want to put 100 gas stations in Gloucester County? It's up to us to represent our community and say that we do or do not want these things and where we want them. And that's just my opinion on that.
All right, my name's Adam Hogerl. I've been in this county my entire life. Got a few questions for y'all. Is there any difference between rural AG and commercial, SC land rights, tax-wise, etc.? Y'all rezoned the county to benefit the county. What is the difference between AG and SC1 if your farmland got moved into SC1? Is there any difference on tax rights?
Turn that on.
So I'm not in the tax office, but you can apply if you're in ag district. Actually, if you're in SC1, you could also apply for land use taxation.
I got that.
But there's, it's based on your assessment of what your property has been improved as. So there's really, again, I'm not the assessor, but it's my understanding it's based on what's on the property and how it's being used.
So if your land was never built on, going back all the way down to early 1800s in y'all's books in the county, y'all rezoned it, made it SC1. Y'all didn't change the rules. Are you allowing other businesses that have AG that want to put a solar panel in, come back and rezone into commercial and not have to follow the same rules we have to follow? You won't let me go back to AG, but you'll let these other businesses take their land, subdivide a piece out, and make it commercial where they're making money now.
The SC zoning occurred in 1998. The county did a countywide rezoning, and so it's been zoned that since 1998. You can apply for a rezoning, but as Mr. Hanson said, there's a comprehensive plan. It would have to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The board did decide to allow solar facilities in certain zoning districts, SC1 and RC1, and the General Assembly just requires that we actually allow them in all residential districts. So, non-residential districts, sorry.
So it sounds like it benefits one person, not the residents, and we're allowed to just get rid of farmland and price it out. My property has gone up over 100% every single year from where I started at, and it's still trees. My property is worth more than waterfront property. I've been back and forth bartering with the county. The guy that does all the pricing for the county told me straight up, your land ain't gonna go up much more. Your land's not gonna go up much more. Ashley, you've been in this with me a long time. You know where I'm at. I'm paying $1.4 million for 76 acres. I will gladly sell it to the county.
So I can't answer assessment questions, I'm sorry.
Why can't I be agriculture? I filed the paperwork.
But is it in land use though?
Yes.
So the land use should give you the relief that whether you have it in, whether it's zoned SC1 or ag, it should be, you should be getting a prorated rate for the amount of tax.
I'm being charged more on 2 acres than I damn near paid for the whole property.
Well, the 2 acres is probably where the home site is or whatever else is. So that's going to be developed land, which will not be allowed to go into land use. The remaining acreage should be able to go into land use.
But I feel like the pricing is outrageous
Well,
And
that is
if you have a farm
something
structure or
that
anything else, we're held to a different standard.
we follow what we can for the assessments. The assessments are based on fair market value of the properties, based on a history of sales for the last 3 years, because we do our assessments every 3 years now, based on the market trends and the sales in the locality for those 3 years. And we try to get it to within, I think about 10 to 15% of market value.
But if I want to go to Lowe's and buy a shed, I have to go to the county and buy a building permit where it's
Well,
a
you have to
farmland.
go to the county to get a zoning permit.
It shouldn't be that way on a farm. Your farm is your farm. You shouldn't have to have, if it's temporary, you can take it down and move it. You put a metal building up, take it down and move it. It doesn't have a floor and it's not have any kind of foundation or anything like that. You should not have to do that on farmland.
I think if you wanted to build a pole barn in your farmland, you do not have to get a building permit.
So there's a touchy situation on that. I did the right thing and I got my ass handed to me by the county. I did it right because when I called down there and talked to Paul and went through all this, I said, Paul, if something happens later on down in life and I die, my kids are left this farm, what happens if they say, hey, you can't sell this place because this wasn't inspected? That is the reason why I did it. Then you came back and taxed me almost $400,000 for an 80 by 80 garage that was nothing but a pole building. You literally could pay somebody to build it for less than $100,000. I fought the county for a year on that. I had to pay these taxes. It's now considered farm structure, but it's still outrageous. A pole barn is one of the cheapest things to build. It's got a metal structure on the roof, and because I put shingles on it instead of a metal roof, I got taxed harder. Decided to put the walls on and put siding up instead of metal, I got taxed harder because I wanted to make it look nicer. That is not, you making it where the county, you're better off to do nothing with your land and let it look like a dump than you are to have nice stuff and make your county look nice. You're penalizing the people that are willing to make the county look nice and allowing the people that don't want to make it look nice, you're just letting them skate by and letting them not pay anything. Tell me I'm wrong.
Has this been through the BZA?
It has been through everything. I got email list after email list after email list. I've been fighting this.
I asked if you, this is an assessment issue, right?
I went through everything with the county. I even went to the old courthouse and sat in there for hours, and they pretty much said, so you're pretty much saying you just paid too much taxes, and then wrote it off.
Did you appeal to the BZA?
Yes.
And you had a hearing at the BZA?
Correct.
And the BZA did not agree with you?
No. They wanted me to go get appraisals. They wanted me to go get everything. My appraisal came back. My appraisal was on my farmland, all my tractors, my backhoes, my skid steers, everything. Of course my appraisal is going to be high. What do? Y'all turn around the next year and put my tax bracket at what all my land is rated as. If I would have went and mowed down all 70 acres and said, hey, I want to put a solar panel up, or I want a boat yard to store boats for tax-free people, y'all would have changed my whole rights? That's not fair to me. I have timberland. That is what it is. It's all timber. Y'all should be thanking me for not cutting every tree down and telling Ryan Holmes to come put 2,000 houses up. My next question.
Well, but let me. But in your location, just so you threw out a big number there, 76 acres. I think probably where you are, you probably have to have a 5-acre minimum lot size. And I'm not trying to besmirch anything.
My lot size is 1 acre.
No. But what I'm saying is, if you were trying to develop it, you couldn't develop it at 76 acres at 10,000 square foot.
Why? You just did my neighbor at 1 acre and they own like 30 they just bought. You just sold another lot. There's a bunch of lots that are subdivided that are still in these small acreage to build, and you're charging them on big land.
Yeah,
it's 1 acre is what they told me. They charged me 1 acre for my house, 1 acre for my farm structure.
Right, but that's for assessment. But what I'm saying is, if you went to develop 70 acres in the north end of the county in SC1, what's the minimum lot size?
2 acres on a public road.
So it'd be 2 acres on a paved road.
Public road. State road, yes.
Right. So you wouldn't get a 2,000 home subdivision without water and sewer.
Okay. Which will never happen back there, but anyhow.
Correct.
But I could also turn around and go to the county and say I want to make a barrel plot on the whole 76 acres minus the 2 acres of living. And then I'd be out of this whole deal. Gloucester County still has that right. And I brought that up to the meeting. You're penalizing the people, the good people that want to have land and keep their farmland, keep the land for the generations. This is why the young generation is so quick to sell land when somebody dies. because they can't afford the taxes. I give the county almost $10,000 every 6 months in taxes. I'm a resident. I'm not no rich person. I work at the shipyard. You want to know where I work? There you go. Moving on from this. What is the expected life of this landfill we have left?
Do you remember, Chris? I think it's
50 years? I don't have the number anymore, but it's still at whatever the existing was, even though they've done a little bit of expansion. So I think we've got at least another 20, I think it's like 2050 or 2055 is when it's what's built. Yeah.
So now you're going to add another 1,000 houses in front of Lowe's and another 150 houses, 200 behind Damon's. Who knows what other subdivisions are going to come down the road? Or a solar panel farm says, hey, we're no longer doing this. They want to bulldozer all their crap down and want to have somewhere to dump it. You're going to let them take it to the landfill. You got new growth that you're wanting to bring to the county. How long is this dump actually going to be there as a landfill? You're saying 25 years now. What happens if we cut that back to 15? What happens if we cut it back to 12? Next thing you know, you got 9, 10 years in it. Where do we go after this? Where are your kids going to take their trash to? Are we going to pay like Newport News? Now you're putting another cost on people. You're taxing them for more stuff. You're charging more people. People are already complaining about $5 increase on water bill. So where are y'all going in the future with landfills? You're letting all these counties dump and all these people out of our area dump in our landfill. You can't go to York County right now and just go dump your stuff. They want to know your address. We let all kinds of people come in ours and take advantage of what we paid for.
I thought they're supposed to have a sticker.
Yeah, they do. Waste Management does offer stickers for the Gloucester County residents. They do enforce it every once in a while, and they do offer to give you the stickers at times. But to answer your question is, when the landfill fills, I believe at our meeting that we had, Waste Management, that they said they were going to come back. I don't know when they were here last. They said they were going to come back and provide us information, which they have yet to do. But we would then turn our landfill would be more or less a transfer station. We would keep our utility or convenience centers. That trash would go back up to our landfill, where it would be a transfer station to be transferred out to one of their other facilities.
And the landfill, that's where it's currently permitted. They've got the ability to increase the size of the landfill with more permits.
Yes.
And I'm cool with that, and I agree we should increase. But what I'm getting at is if you keep on adding more to this place, and next thing you know, we're Newport News size or bigger, it's going to fill up faster.
So
you
they
already are talking about people not recycling.
With where we are at in our landfill and the services that Waste Management provides, we are first on that pecking order. So if they start seeing more trash coming into Gloucester County, they would more than likely reduce the outside trash that's allowed in to make sure we have the expectancy that we're told we're going to have.
Next, all these parks we have in the county.
All the what?
All these parks we have in the county. All right, we have all this land. It's always on Facebook. We need more stuff for the kids. Page Middle School is just sitting there right now. I've made comments before about it. The county has the opportunity to turn that into a really nice sports complex. Y'all spent a ton of money maintaining these fields. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for the kids having sports. I'm all for having some of these things. But the county has an opportunity. Yes, it would cost, but I guarantee you wouldn't have no complaining out of taxpayers if there was a really nice facility made. All this other land that money was thrown into, there's a couple parks we got in the county that more money was thrown into that land to redo it for a soccer field than it was ever intended to be worth. Woodville Park, that is a prime swampland. You've been made more money as a county person keeping it in wildlife conservation than you would have been putting all the money into it, seeding it, putting dirt, and all that. That land's useless. But anyhow, you can make a solar panel farm out of it, you can turn it into wildlife, you can do whatever you want for the county. Why are we not taking advantage of that? Why is the county not stepping up and saying, we'll fork the money, this is what it's going to cost the county, this is what it's going to cost the residents to have this big facility. Y'all can have a shop at the bottom. Y'all can have all these restaurants. I guarantee if you went to all these fast food chains, Chick-fil-A, Subway, McDonald's, Wendy's, all these people would jump in and say, I want to rent a spot. You have a whole parking lot at this place that you can have food trucks. Y'all can charge the food vendors to have a permit to sell stuff. I guarantee you more people will be willing to have this sports complex than you are having all these parks that are run down that cost us a crap load of money to maintain. How much money we spending on wear and tear on equipment, county vehicles, maintaining it, insurance on these places, and everything else, where you're not coming back and making money.
So
use this to your advantage.
So the Page Middle School site, we've had marketed for years. I believe we are in the process of setting up a committee to study just the fact of putting a rec center, for lack of a better term there. And I believe our deputy county administrator is in the process of applying for a grant that will do, and it's zero match grant, that can do a master study for just that process for that piece of property.
Yeah, we're
So
doing a feasibility.
those things are in progress, but you're looking at something that's probably going to have a price tag of $80 to $100 million to do it right for this size community. But things are in process to look at that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I agree with almost everything you said on the last topic. I'm not sure I think Woodville's a waste, but you and I can agree to disagree
That's cool.
that. We'll just let that go. This board, actually before this board was constituted in November, we had a meeting of the minds retreat, whatever you want to call it. And this topic was one of the issues that got raised in November. And the general concept that was talked about loosely in November was Page as a gem that's not being utilized. And the vision was maybe a public-private partnership, which would create a sports complex, community center there. And it really didn't go much farther. And we had some discussions about maybe having tiering so that people who are financially distressed could use it, as well as other people who weren't financially stressed, so that all the citizens could have access. And it really didn't get any more traction. And then we got into budget, and budget for us is just all consumptive. At the recent EDA meeting, the EDA asked and voted that they couldn't find a use for the Page site, and the EDA asked if we couldn't create a committee, task force, working group, whatever you want to call it. And the EDA voted that if the Board of Supervisors would agree, that we would constitute this committee. So I came back to the board 2 meetings ago, I think, and the board, I don't believe there was a vote, I think it was a consensus that the Board of Supervisors now agrees to work with the EDA to develop a plan for the Page site. Planning and zoning, Anducci Ortez was kind enough to give us some old data about the site. The site is, I think, 27 acres, give or take. I think I'm right, by the way. That's a little small, just for you to know that. As you know, there's an intersection. What do you think that is? 1/4 of a mile away from the Page site that probably needs to come into play, just so you know that. I mean, that's my opinion. And our first meeting is Thursday afternoon. We have been given some staff. Regine Biggers is the Deputy County Administrator, is going to staff that committee. EDA is on it, I'm on it, Regine Biggers is on it. We haven't put other people into it yet, and Regine Biggers has asked and has applied for a grant for some planning money that we can look at what that might look like. We had an offer by a local architect who said that they would be willing to maybe draw a conceptual plan of what that might look like. Ashley may be correct. It may have a price tag that's astronomical.
And I'm not doubting that. I know it's going to be expensive.
But I have to agree with you. I mean, I've heard from the generation, my mother's generation, there were buses that would drive around Gloucester County and pick kids up and bring them to like a ball field and play for the day and then take them home. And Page is the perfect centralized site that really just isn't being utilized. So I actually am in full support of your concept and agree with you.
Nothing says the county can't invest in the land around it as it goes up for sale if it does. Get them first pick. If the county can afford it and it's up for sale, then work a deal out. If you can't, then let it go to the public.
Well, I've spoken with the adjoining landowner, because if this was to come to fruition, or if there was someone else that wanted to purchase the Page site, it would be nice to have a four-way intersection.
Correct.
That land is currently owned by a family, and I've had conversations with them, and depending on the partner, they are willing to come to the table to discuss what to do with that corner of land so that we could make it a four-way intersection. Some years ago, 3 of these board members still up here actually went to those folks and said, hey, we would gladly look at purchasing your land for economic development. I think I don't remember, we had some discussions with them and they came back with a price that it was almost 2.5 times the assessed value. So that conversation has stopped, but they are willing to participate depending on what comes in there. And I know the EDA is working on several different options right now as well with potential folks. No one that's willing to write that check yet. But there's those things. And with that, if someone was to want to come there in actuality for true economic development, the board or the county would be looking at more or less giving that land away to get them to invest, because that's what every other locality does.
Which is a bad thing, because say that land's worth $1 million, you give it away to somebody, say he bellies up after he builds it within the first year or two, he decides to sell it, y'all lost out.
But you can negotiate that in such a way when that occurs that you're going to get. So we have a company up at the Middle Peninsula Regional Airport that got incentives. They did not fulfill their end of it. They had to write the Middle Peninsula Regional Airport a check because they did not live up to their end of the bargain. So you can negotiate what's going to be in that. If he goes belly up in a year, he's still going to be on the hook, whoever it is. But that's something that gets negotiated out through the EDA with that property in such a case.
All right, last question. Well, I got 2 things. Ryan Homes, all these other big companies, I know you got that one housing development offered the county $2 million. One to go towards infrastructure and one to go towards water. That was in the paper a while back. Are these subdivision companies having to pay all the fees and everything that the same Joe Blow is having to pay? Are they having to go through the same inspections? Are they having to pay everything? Because when I built mine, I got freaking hammered because I didn't write generator on my electrical permit. I had to go buy another electrical permit, and they failed me. This is what the county did to the residents, and when I argued it, I got pretty much told, we're not passing anything until you pay it. Now, granted, it was only $130 for each one, but I had to pay it twice because I had 2 generators. So what I'm asking is, Ryan Homes and all them are coming in, they're buying these big chunks of land. These other companies are buying these big chunks of land. Ryan Homes buys whatever house site they build, they buy the next house site, etc. Are they going and paying, all these fees like a resident is, like $10,000 to build? That's what it boils down to almost.
Yep.
Are they having them inspected by the county, or is it an engineer signing off?
Well, so the county does have the ability to allow third-party inspections. So they will reimburse the county. Yes, they can have third-party inspections, but they're on the hook just as a private homeowner is for building their own home. All the same inspections.
With that being said, you have an engineer sign off, and I went through this. I could have had an engineer sign off on my house, and I didn't have to jump through the hoops. But I did it the right way, and I let the county do it. And I got held to a higher standard by the inspector, and I went back and forth into Paul's office, and he said, this is the state minimum that you have to have for an inspection. I can enforce what I want. So I had to go buy, instead of buying $40 breakers for my electrical panel, I'm now buying $100 breakers. And that was just that's the icing on the cake. These inspectors are holding these residents that want to build, but then you let all these other people come in and put shady stuff up. and they just have to sign a paper. When I was buying my lumber, I went to Joe Ferry, I went to Kempsville, said this is what I want. And I also went to the county and said if I built it out of rough cut lumber and I paid somebody to come here at sawmill and cut all my trees down and sawmill all my stuff, could I get away with building? And you know what he told me? All you have to do is have an engineer sign off on it. This is what I'm getting at, is you allow these big businesses just to have an engineer sign off on it. Y'all, the only reason y'all will do that is so the county is not eligible if anything ever happens. They're not responsible. And I heard from an inspector saying Ryan Holmes can get away with that because they take the fall if something happens, not the county.
It's a third party that they pay for the inspectors, but we're the ones that get the inspectors out there.
Right.
It's not the engineer who's going to do theirs. Just because the engineer's got it stamped, we're still going to have inspectors come out to the build.
All right. And last, I'm all for the audit. I want to know, can the count or can y'all ask when y'all do y'all's audit? As these audits are, go back a couple years. What was the budget given? Say Parks and Rec, say utilities, say buildings and grounds. What was the budget given at the beginning of the year and allotted? Then, what was the budget at 6 months? Where were you standing on your budget? Were you meeting your meets? Then at the end of the year, 2 months prior to the end of the year, how much money was left in that budget? And then how much money did you piss away just to eat that budget up and then ask for more next year? How much money are all these divisions spending? Because I know somebody was a superintendent, and I know a lot of stuff that went on in the county. There was a lot of budgets that were thrown out at the very end. I know a lot of stuff that was bargained from other people to screw other county or to screw other departments over in order to get what they wanted. So when y'all do y'all's forensic audit, find out all this documents, paperwork, where did y'all stand money-wise for what us taxpayers are paying? If you gave out $100 million to this budget or whatever the number is, what was up to the 6 months or the 8 months? How much money was at the end you had to burn or you lost it? It's just like any other business in here. If you have a business and you're allotted this much money, at the end of the year, if you got $20,000, $30,000 left over, you're going to be like, hey, there's a new truck right there. I'm going to go buy it to burn the budget up. How much of that was burned up in the county? There's a whole lot of stuff in the county that happens that probably shouldn't be. Do we need brand new vehicles for everybody? Do we need Parks and Rec having this and that? Do we need this type of mower? What is the maintenance fee? Are we better off paying a county employee to do all the maintenance versus taking it to, however it is? Y'all need to figure it out when y'all do y'all's audit.
Since I've been on the board, we've had those discussions on county garage, sending things out to mechanics in the county. I think the sheriff's office has contract. Some of the stuff's done in-house, some of it's done outside. We pass the budget and we track it, I think quarterly, at least we get a quarterly update every year. The audit is out to bid. We're going to see what happens with it. But I will be shocked if there's a ton of activity of burning up a budget at the end of the year in our county, because I don't think anyone's had the excess funds when they get to the most of the departments that I talk to. They're more like worried about, are they going to have enough money to finish out the year, not do I have to spend a bunch of money to get it to zero. That's not something that I would suspect to see in our forensic audit report when we get it done.
Yeah, we get, as Mr. Crisco actually said, we get, regular updates on, the budget and where each department is on a regular basis to make sure that, the spending is aligned with what they're appropriated. And we see those numbers every single quarter or half year to make sure that, things are aligned correctly. And the fact is that a significant part of the budget of every department is in one category: salaries. If you look at the amount of money they have for supplies, it's not a lot. That's usually where things get cut. But the majority of the budget of all these departments is salaries and fringe benefits.
All right.
And I know that from the past, when we get close to the end, there is no rush to spend whatever's left because most departments are right at the bottom line with what they've been given. Because the budget has to be balanced. And, from what I've seen, and I'm sure Mr. Crisco, Ashley would confirm, we've never seen this like rush to spend as you do here for, some places around the world. You got some money, let's spend it. Because my son-in-law was in the Army and he said that that's happened in their department. They had to buy all its equipment because they had this money at the end of the year. That doesn't happen in this county.
I'll speak to the social services, which is a big chunk of change in the county, just for the record. That accounting is done monthly. It's not done quarterly or semi-annually. The Social Services Board's budget is reviewed, what they're appropriated, what's spent, what's remaining on a monthly basis, and that's also true for the EDA Board. What's appropriated, what's budgeted, what's spent, what's left on a monthly basis. At least on those two entities, there's nothing left at the end. The EDA may make a little bit of money, I'll just say that. But the Social Services Board, if they have any money left over, by the way, typically it's not spent out. They ask for it to be carried over into the next year's budget, and that'll happen occasionally. But I'm like my colleagues. I don't anticipate a forensic audit to show massive spending in the last 2 months because it hadn't been there to spend.
With everybody saying about clean up on the streets, clean up in the bay, I'm all for that. Why aren't we taking the kids that are in trouble that are doing community service? Why aren't we allowing them to go out there? Why aren't we allowing inmates? Keep it in-house. Some of these kids need to learn a work ethic. That's a perfect one for them to learn at.
I think they took that ability away from localities some years ago for safety reasons, I believe.
Have an officer with them.
No, I don't think it matters if they have an officer with them. I think it's not allowed per state code. Some of the things are so simple, it's unbelievable, but yeah.
My suggestion was for like your, I was talking about at the, for the old pages and old transportation. Is there a way, like, I believe in the community needs to come together and everybody needs to work together, that if we raise the money and it went in a thing, but it'd be like how like your historical property, it stays historical, you can't develop it, where it would stay, it would always be the county's land for the community. Can't we like do fundraisers? Because I think if the community, everyone knew that that money was going to go to that land and it was going to be for the sports center or something to better the community, but it had to always stay community property. You couldn't sell it to 7-Eleven or sell anywhere. It'd be like historical land where it's labeled historical. Could we do that?
I don't think there's such a thing as a recreational conservation agreement. It's a great idea. I mean, just so you know that. Within the state code, I don't think that concept exists. I do think that, I may be mistaken, I don't think anybody up here wants to sell that land at all.
Well, it should have been a vocation. I mean, to me, I thought y'all should have made it a VOTEC because you already had the auto mechanics. You already have a water and electric to it because there used to be a school there. You could have had York County would have come over because they'd rather send their kids to Gloucester than the Newport News. You would have had West Point, King and Queen, King William, Middlesex, Matthews, and probably some up in Essex, and that would have been money.
Ms. Witt, we are do a working group for a CTE program here in Gloucester County. Actually, we had that meeting the other day. We've actually invited Rob Whitman to come and take a tour of our current CTE programs and potential sites for maybe a regional center, because we think that we are a great location to be able to draw other entities once we get it moving in the direction that we need it to for our community and our students. And yeah, that is certainly something we're working on very hard. We got a great feedback from the community, and the support that we received in that survey was very surprising, not to me, because our community loves our kids, but just the number of people that actually responded to that survey was more than I had hoped for, in a positive way of helping develop the CTE program for our students and for potentially our surrounding areas.
That'd
So-
be the best spot.
Well, we're gonna keep you up to date.
You have everything there.
Yes, ma'am.
Just saying. You got buildings.
Well, we're looking at the Page School. They have, they had facilities
Auto
there when there was a
mechanics right
school,
back there.
wood shop, all of that. But that's just a potential look at it. There's several things up in the air that we're looking at as a group, but I'm very excited about the continuing education program that we could have here for our students. It's much needed.
Yeah.
But funding is something we have to look at
Well,
too.
see, like I said, well, at least for the Parker complex, if it stayed where the community always owned it, no one could get money or sell it, but it stayed where it was sanctioned like a historical building, it stays the community. I think I would donate, and I don't make a lot of money. I'm a bus driver here, so if I was from York County, I would make a whole lot of money, but I'm not. But they get paid more. But anyways, that was my suggestion.
Thank you very
Y'all
much.
have a blessed day.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Witt.
Good evening. Joe Anderson, Hayes. Wanted to talk about the flock safety cameras that have started popping up around Gloucester County and all over. I see there's 2 of them on 17 right now. One's on Providence. Looks like the other one's near the old Page Middle School. They, I think, are contracted through the Sheriff's Department, and basically it's an automatic license plate reader, scans the cars as they drive by. My concern isn't necessarily with the plate reader, but the fact that it will gather all kinds of other information, including facial recognition. It will monitor like stickers, bumper stickers on your car, scratch, dents, make, model, all of this stuff, all the time. It gets sent up to Amazon web server. It's a data center where they store this data for a period of time. Police, sheriff's deputies can access it. My first question is, who besides the local sheriff's deputies here have access to the flock camera footage that's taken in Gloucester County?
This is an interesting conversation that I've been having with a neighbor of mine. Right now, I believe there are 6 cameras, okay? And they're all located adjacent to schools. Okay. And they're on specifically for a certain time period, you know, when the schools are in session, and they're blinking. And I can say, for example, the high school, that goes on about 7:15 and goes off exactly at 7:45.
That's the speed. That's the speed ones. The flock cameras are different.
I thought that,
no, that's for the radar enforcement.
yeah.
What he's talking about is just there are cameras, and there's several mounted. There's several throughout the county that are used. Like you said, they're license plate readers, and they can scan the cars. They're sometimes used in identifying things that went on. I know a couple months ago when we had the incident at our ASAP office, they were able to look up the individual, see what they drove, were able to pick out where the car was when it came into town, when it left the area from the incident. They then noticed that, I mean, the cameras can do a lot of different things. To answer your question, I'd have to get with the sheriff to find out who else other than someone in his department has the ability to see that, because it's my understanding, which is limited because I'm not law enforcement, is that our cameras are only visible to our staff unless we send it or share it with someone else.
Okay.
That's my understanding as I know it.
Right.
If you want to give us your information, I'll ask the sheriff and get this information back to you.
Sure, yeah, I can do that. The other question is, I've seen on like an isolated video that circulates online, which take with a grain of salt, that the flock camera system, they kind of just pop up. It seems like nobody ever sees them getting installed, and so there's questions as to the means that they're using to install these things. And if it's mounted on the side of the highway, it's supposed to be made with like breakaway fittings so that if a car, distracted driver, whatever, hits this thing, the pole is going to give way, and it's not going to destroy the vehicle as soon as it crashes into it at 60 miles an hour. How are the flock cameras in Gloucester County installed?
Again, that I would have to ask the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And I will gladly ask those questions.
Sure.
Oh,
I just happen to know this because they asked me about it. They're all on county property. So, because VDOT will not allow them in the right of way.
Okay.
So they're all on county property,
okay.
as far as I know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get with you in a bit and get my information for you.
Perfect.
Okay.
I will just make a quick comment. We in my neighborhood decided to put a little sign in the VDOT right-of-way in our neighborhood. Yeah, they don't let you put anything in the VDOT right-of-way without a permit. Nobody.
Right.
I mean, it was amazing what we had to go through to get a little sign in the VDOT right-of-way. So I would bet they are off the right-of-way.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Ertel. I've been a resident here my entire life. I believe.
Again, sir?
My name is Jeremy Ertel. I've been a resident here my entire life. Grew up over there behind Ware Academy. I believe the question that the young man was asking earlier about ag zoning versus SC1. When you changed your zoning back in '82, when the Supreme Court backed it, you said that these farmers could get their ag zoning back if they continued to farm for 20 years. Now, is that still on your books or was it removed?
So we adopted zoning in '84. Most of the county was zoned rural, and then in 1998, they rezoned a large portion of the county and added a bunch of residential districts. I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. So I came in 2000, the zoning was already in place that we have now. So,
When I purchased it in '17, that was available at that time. I can't find it anymore. But you used to be able to go before the board, and if your property was still in agriculture, and has been for quite some time, you could get your ag zoning back. I believe that's the question he's asking. But as far as the block cameras go, I believe that's a deprivation of rights. That you do not face your accuser. You're accused by an out-of-state entity. Your mail, your money goes to another entity and goes into a mailbox in another state. And then they pay you, is the way I believe it works. So I am not in favor of the flock cameras for one bit.
So the flock camera and then the speed cameras and the red light cameras on the school buses are all three different separate items. The speed cameras and the school bus cameras, yes, they have entities that provide us that infrastructure, and part of what they do is they pay themselves back and then send the money to the county for the excess.
The other county that did that put theirs on the interstate, and they were getting money from every person outside their county.
Mm-hmm.
You're attempting to gain money from your own citizens by putting it in front of all your schools. I know that we are broke as a church mouse, okay? And when that time comes, if you're fat and you can't keep the fork out of your mouth, you gotta stop spending, and I know it hurts. I've been there, I ate rice and beans, and I would take my truck and stump grinder to Williamsburg, I would kick the motorcycle out the back and drive it home, because I could not afford to spend anymore. It just won't there. And so as a county, when we make decisions, there are a lot of things we'd love to do. There's a lot of things that sound good, look good, sounds like a good plan. But if the money is not there, you know, you don't put bushes out in front of your house when the roof's leaking. If your water system is gone to straight done or needs help, all the beautiful things, lovely things that you like to do, you've got to fix the roof first. Fix the hole and quit your spending. And I know that you've got a bunch of stuff that you want to do, good plans, but if you don't plug the hole, you're never gonna come up. The boat's gonna keep going down.
Well, and for the red light camera and the speed zone cameras, you do have the ability to go to court for those tickets.
That's very nice of you. You have to request to see the judge. You're not told to go to the judge. You have to request
But
to see the judge. That's not a ticket like you get from the state trooper, because I've gotten plenty of them.
Right, but
I got 4 pages.
but it's all explained on one of those, because I've had to help someone deal with that. But you can actually request a court date, and instead of them giving you one, you just request it. I mean, it's another little step, but you do have a chance to take that up in the court of law.
Yes, it's subterfuge. Thank you.
My name is Quentin Andrews. I live up on Davenport Road. I am the creator and owner of the Giving Box. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that. No problem if you're not. No big deal. I want to propose solutions by bringing $1 million micro plant that will capture and abate plastic waste. I've already worked out the vast majority of the logistics. I'm looking into USDA grants, the REAP grants. I'm looking into getting things patented. The entire footprint of the plant would be on less than 1 acre. You would not foot a dime. And if the pilot plant works at least as half as good as I believe it will through my research and my data, by the end of the first year, the plant will be making revenue. We will be buying plastic. We will be augmenting the plastic, not recycling it like you normally think about. We'll be turning it into usable products. I have a couple products already in mind: fence posts for the farmers and pavers. I hear these guys talking about glass. I can use the glass in making the pavers. The waste paper, I hear people talking about the waste paper, not the corrugated brown cardboard. I can use that because in the process of making the pavers and everything else, you run into unrecyclable materials that you use a pyrolysis process that does not use oxygen. And it will break down the molecular structure of the plastic and turn it into usable products. The char and the coke products that are left over after that can be combined with papers to make briquettes for fuel or heating. I can tell you more, but I'd have to have you sign an NDA. No kidding. If you would like to learn more about this and you want to set up a meeting or something, then let me know. And
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Talk to me.
So the Economic Development Authority would be interested in hearing from you.
Okay.
Their meetings are open to the public.
Okay.
I think there's a meeting this Thursday. Oh, Tricia's going to help me.
Next Tuesday morning at 8:30.
Next Tuesday morning at 8:30.
In the County Building 2, second floor, environmental conference room.
I'm going to have to write that down.
If you don't mind, you can give me your contact information at the end of the meeting, and I'll have you email you.
Yes, definitely.
And the EDA meeting can be fairly rigid, but it's usually pretty not. By that I mean there's always a public comment period, and technically people are limited to 3 minutes, but I want to be honest with you, most of the time, if people have an idea, they want to sit there and chit-chat and talk, we let them chit-chat and talk.
Right.
Because there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on in the EDA. They actually have a couple of parcels of land that might meet your needs and might be interested in meeting with you.
Any of it zoned for light industrial?
Yeah. I believe those are zone light industrial, Ms. Ann. So
hot sauce.
And they're located in Gloucester County.
Even better.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
if you'll give Trish your information, we'd be glad to have you. I'll be there.
Awesome.
Usually, but I think we usually have probably 6 or 8 members of the board show up.
Okay.
Again, it's not horribly formal.
And just, to kind of give you an idea, I'm not strictly focusing on plastic and the waste paper. Some people call me the Davenport Road mad scientist, and I've got 6 modules total that would be on a campus less than 3 acres, that would handle paper, plastic, glass, wood, metal, tires. I've even got a module in the works that we could put by the hospital to take care of hazardous waste. Emissions, negligent, almost zero. You convert everything back into energy to feed itself. Businesses will be buying their waste. 10 to 15 years, we might even be eating up the landfill. So, but like I said, if I tell you more, I'll have to make you sign an NDA.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Go Beans. We'll set up a meeting. Thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much.
Yep, thank you.
Tricia, your information.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Come on up, sir.
I don't know real good. How much power does these solar panels in our county go back to our residents in our county?
It doesn't.
Then why would the county?
It goes to the grid. It all moves and flows. There's plenty of evidence out there that says that does not go back to the actual community where those solar panels are. Energy goes on the line and it goes wherever it's asked by the Dominion Power. If you do the research, you will see that it doesn't just go to the community it's in.
The solar panels that have been built now are all near transmission lines. So PGM, who owns the power, Virginia Power buys it from them, it hits their grid. And it goes wherever it needs to go. There's probably not a true accurate depiction on where it goes. I believe the one down on 14, the credits were sold to Facebook when they built their new headquarters so they could say they were green. Some of the other two that are being presented, they're on lines that will actually be fed directly to county users because they're not on a transmission line where it's going to then be sent out to the masses. So it just depends on where your interconnection happens and where it ends up going.
Well, if the county is allowing these people and allowing you to mow down all your trees or cut your farmland out, wouldn't the county rather see and work a deal out with the company, Dominion, that will allow you to put your solar panels in, but that land needs to come back?
Don't know it's Dominion yet. That's the problem. When a solar farm goes in, it's a private company putting in a solar farm.
Then why don't we shut it down until it actually helps the residents? Why, if it's so good, solar panels are so great, I respect your feelings on them, but why isn't the county taking advantage and putting it into the county's use to cut back on the county pricing of what they're paying? And
the county doesn't have a pricing system. It's market driven. And I mean, we get an email a week from Dominion Energy. And they have all these different rate cycles and they have to go through the State Corporation Commission. And if you look at your power bill, you have transmission, generation, fuel charges, and then you have this whole another little section of riders, and it's like $3 for this, $4. So you have the ability to take out generation, but those riders you can't get rid of.
correct. But if the solar panels are so good and they produce so much, why isn't the county taking advantage of this? Why aren't we lining the schools up to put that power back in the school and working a deal out with Dominion? All of us are paying for Dominion. Why isn't the county saying, look, we respect you, but we need a little help?
So
that would help the county out on budget also for what y'all are spending in power. And what are y'all paying to power this place?
Go ahead and then I'll answer because I've had that discussion.
So there are really a number of different issues here. So, for example, rooftop solar, which is net metered, is being used locally. Whoever that rooftop owner is, it's here. I understand that hypothetically, because they backfeed it through the meter on Ferry Creek Avenue, that it could be used in New York City, but that's nonsense. There's no transmission line. Then there are the solar farms, like, let's just name Carver's Creek for a moment, which really are hooked to the PGM grid. That stuff is gone. That electricity is gone. The two farms, the two projects that are proposed off and haven't been approved, but
Ferries and
right on Ferries Mill Road, are billed as regenerative projects, meaning they're not hooked to the grid, they're hooked to the local power utility system, and hypothetically, they're not being shipped off to New York. I guess, an electron could bump an electron, but that's kind of the difference between grid hooked up solar and solar that's not hooked up to the grid. You raise an excellent question, by the way, and that is on all our schools' flat roofs and all the counties' flat roofs, why don't we have Dominion Power put solar panels and net meter all of our schools' facilities and our county facilities? It's a great question. And we've been in touch with Dominion about that very conversation, by the way. We don't have a used landfill, but there are localities that have capped their landfills. Well, that's true, we do have one.
They came to us and we told them no.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, there are great ideas on how to reduce costs, which in turn reduce taxes, which save everybody money. And certainly, the school's electric bills are probably pretty daggone high,
Correct.
I agree.
If you had, what y'all are saying that they produce, over these years, y'all are saying the solar panels produce this. I know people that have solar panels. I read their bills and I read my bill. I know what my house is, I know what my shop is, and I know what theirs is. And they do work to certain things. You got 110, you got LEDs, yeah, you're gonna get a cheaper bill. But wintertime, their bills are always high. It's just, it is what it is. But if you're willing to say these are what they are and y'all can prove it, why is the county not taking advantage of the high school, for example? They got that whole student parking lot that you can put solar panels rooftop. You got the whole top of the school. If you cut your power bill 25% every year, what does that money go to? Now you can afford to have more shop classes for kids, not just a computer program. You can have more money to all these other shops, teaching these kids finances and everything else. Then you got more money to pay your teachers, your county employees. If you're not able to fork out the money to have good work ethic and county employees, you now have more money in the budget. Certain people complain about the water. I'm not on it, I'm on well. That's why I left the point. I don't have to deal with that. But the people that are and that are stuck, this can be helping out the residents in the county by cutting back. I understand different budgets, I understand how the government stuff works, but there's numbers that can be moved and different things that can be done. The money saved could fork something else out. Your big sports complex, maybe your power bill would be 25% less than that. Now your money's going somewhere else. You got to make the money work for you, not just give it out.
All right, so let me back up here because several years ago I was pretty big doing some solar stuff, and I had a company that was willing to come in and look at it. So they went to our GIS stuff and pictometry and looked at all the roofs of the schools and said, yeah, we can definitely do this, but there's an upfront cost. The reduction was going to be pretty significant. The problem is with a lot of our rooftops here for our schools is there's HVAC up there. Can't put solar panels over top of the HVAC. So that eliminated quite a bit of the rooftop areas that we had because it has to have proper venting. There are companies that will come in and, I mean, you could put it, to me, I don't think they should allow not that they should allow, but people should be putting solar panels over parking lots. I mean, that's perfect prime location. But if you have a rooftop HVAC, that really cuts it back. The best building that the schools had that could have benefited from solar, and I probably could have powered the new bus garage and probably one other elementary school or one other school with just putting solar panels on the transportation facility that was built. It has adequate roof. There's no HVAC up there. There's just some ventilation pipes. It would have been fabulous. Had Dominion talk to the schools a little bit about it, because I was talking with Dr. Clemens before he left. He was really wanting to look into this. All the benefits are gone.
Look at all the county buildings. The county buildings that are paying, you're paying
But,
for all these county
but the
buildings. It's the same
benefit,
thing.
the benefit for a large-scale development like that that's on buildings, there was a tax credit that came with it that helped offset the installation. When all that went away, that rooftop for that scale to come in and do it on the entirety of the school properties and the county properties more or less vaporized, because it would cost, it would probably take a good 10 years to recover just the cost of the installation.
I would rather see it on the county buildings, schools, over county garages, in the parking lots, etc., or down the property lines, whatever y'all want to do, if it benefits the county. Now, here's where I throw the wrench in is, say 15 years you go down the road and we are like, hey, hold on, we were wrong on all this data. We no longer can use this land. We now allowed hundreds of acres to be mowed down that was either farming or timber, or we find out, that we made a bad call. I mean, it happens. We're humans. We make mistakes. We think it's great now, but maybe we don't have our technology exactly where we think we need to be. But if you mow all this land down, all these trees down, you hurt these creeks or whatever, and then you say, hey, we changed our mind, you can't throw this in this landfill. What are all these landowners going to do with this land? Do we run our land down and make it look like a solar panel dump yard? I mean, what do we do with all this land later on? Before the county okays this stuff, who's on the hook for all this stuff if the power company comes back and says, hey man, we're done, 10 years, we're done. Sorry about your luck, all this land's here, that's all your problem now. I mean, is anybody looking into any of this?
When they put in the solar panels, they have to have a decommissioning plan to take the solar panels back out and put the land back in the same condition it was in. I'm not saying put it in 40 or 50-year-old trees, but you have to plant the trees after everything's out of the ground.
What happens if you can't plant? What happens if something happens and you just don't understand the research and something changes 10 years down the road and we can no longer use that land for vegetation or anything? Windmills are coming out in Alaska for a reason. I'm bringing this to the thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what happens in the future when we come back and say, we're wrong, we made a bad call, we got to figure this out? Or what happens if that company bellies up before their contract's done and they sell it to another company? Now that company's like, hey, I'll buy in, but that contract wasn't signed with me, I'm not taking that contract. Or they just belly up again and now you're stuck and you're kicking the can down the street. You can go get a lawyer, you can go fight, but now that's on the owner. And then it comes down to the owner saying, screw the county, I'm not worried about it, I'm just going to let it sit there. Or the guy dies, then the kids have it, etc.
I think that's the risk that we take if we decide to do those things and we say, what can be recycled? Well, yeah, we have a plan, but am I going to be alive in 30 years when that gets implemented? And what is going to be left for that family or for my children to have to pay for or have to consider at that time? I mean, because, we used to do paper or plastic. We killed a whole industry of, paper because we thought that was terrible and killing trees, and then we went to plastic. And now we're having a discussion about charging for plastic bags because they're killing our waterways. So, you can follow the money. Always. Somebody's going to come and tell you a story today because they want to make a profit. And then the community and the people end up paying the price 30 years down the road because they decided that they wanted to shift that funding and moving that money to some other industry. And so, in regards to the solar panels, there's 4 grids: Quebec, East Coast, West Coast, and Texas has its own grid. That's a grid. So if it goes inside, electricity has to flow and move. Because I went home and I told my husband, oh yeah, it's going to be local. And I got a whole engineering spiel about how it really isn't. And once we were done, yes, the power is produced in Gloucester. But it is going to go on somewhere. Energy has to move, and it moves somewhere. It can't stop and go, oh, wait, it's here in Gloucester, unless it's connected directly to the homes in Gloucester, is from what I understand. But like I said, anybody's going to come in and tell you a story. Anyone's going to tell you this is fun. Anybody's going to tell you this is safe for today. And what is it tomorrow? We always risk that when you're making, and we have to all make decisions on that. at the end of the day, what we feel about that future is going to be and what it's going to look like for our children, so.
And with that being said, do we have a fire department local that can put out a damn solar panel farm if it ever happened? Or do you call a forestry department, tell them to mow everything and put it in a big pile and let it burn until it burns?
Mr. Chairman, can I answer the, so let me answer the abandonment of the project question and who's on the hook. Every one of these projects has to post a surety bond, and that surety bond's value is reevaluated every 5 years to make sure that the surety bond is sufficient, that in the event of bankruptcy, they leave the country, they just are never heard from again, the landowner and the county don't have to foot that decommissioning bill. The surety bond is liquidated and has sufficient funds to fund the decommissioning project. That's my understanding, and that's true of every single project that we have on the books. So it's also true, and you didn't ask this, but it's also true at Waste Management, by the way, because one of your questions was capacity, I think you were asking about. One of my questions was, what happens if Waste Management goes belly up, and who's going to shut the thing down and or clean up the aquifer? And the answer is there is a large surety bond that in the event that Waste Management disappeared, the surety bond could be liquidated to pay for the capping and the decommissioning process. I'm not aware that solar panels burn, by the way, personally, and so I can't answer that. I think that's a fire department question. I suspect, as you suspect, that if there was smoke, the first thing that anyone would do would be to call 911, and 911 would call the nearest Gloucester Volunteer Fire Department or Abington Fire Department, and from there there'd be a response, and at some point maybe the Forestry Department would get involved, but I bet I give you a 99% chance it'd be GVFRS in the north end of the county.
And I'm not saying it will catch fire, but if it ever did, for whatever reason, a house carried through the wood line, or the wood line caught fire from somebody shooting fireworks or whatever, do we have a capability of putting it out?
Yes, and first and foremost, we had this conversation too with the data storage coming in. We don't suppress data storage. We don't suppress panels. We suppress everything around it. First and foremost, it's always energized. Even when you tell me it's not energized, it's still energized because they still hold power. So yes, we do have the capabilities to protect everything around it. It in and of itself will eventually burn out. The question is, we don't know how long it takes. But we do have the means to be able to protect everything around it and be able to put it out in a timely manner. Did you get that?
I get where you're getting at with it, but I also know there's a lot of these that are about to go in wood lines that we're trying to do, and you say you don't know how long it'll burn. Yeah, you can cut a 10-foot path all the way around it or a 20-foot path all the way around it. Yeah. But
whether it's a solar panel or anything else, we have the means to be able to protect around it. Absolutely.
But if you say that solar panel farm burned into somebody else's land and took out a whole bunch of other crap, at the end of the day, do we have the way to fighting all this? You say you don't know how long it'll burn, but you can go and bulldoze it all into a pile. It's still going to burn. You don't know. I mean, are we going to bury it in dirt? Are we going to suppress it? I mean, we can foam it.
That is on the land. That is on the company that owns the facility. That has nothing to do with the fire department. We protect everything around it.
Mr. Hudson. I don't believe a solar panel can burn. Not 100%, but I'm not sure it will burn.
It's got oil in it. Oil will burn.
I don't think it's got oil in it.
16.5 kW on my roof there, you drop of oil.
No. The other thing is, most decommissioning projects that happen, they take solar panels that are considered obsolete in the States, and they'll send them to Asia, and they'll put them up there where they'll have 5 or 10 or 15 years less life left, and they will use them over there. So they will, for years, they've been, no, it's not being recycled. Well, it's reused in Asia, India, Pakistan. They take them over there and reutilize them.
So just kind of.
Because as of right now, there's not a cost-effective way to recycle.
I just blew it.
Well, hopefully, like the glass part, like they said, you can recycle that later on in the future, but metal is what it is, and the rest of it, you know, cable is what it is.
You
can
have to have
recycle some
somebody
of it,
that
but-
wants to do it at that time. Maybe there's not, be somebody that wants to, maybe there is, you know. Maybe there's resources that you can't. We sent a lot of plastic over to India that's ended up being in garbage waste because we sold it to them in the promise that they would sell it back to us, and that promise never happened to them. So there's a lot of variables in that and a lot to think about.
Yeah. So I actually just Googled, it said, can solar panels burn? So it said yes, but they're extremely rare. And usually it said less than 1% of all solar systems ever experience a fire. When they do occur, they almost never are caused by the solar panel themselves. And said they're typically stem from poor installation, faulty wiring, or defective electrical components. Yeah, so. Well,
So it would be then classified as an electrical fire.
yeah, yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not, yes, they do catch fire, because we had some in the county catch fire years ago, and they were swiftly removed off the roof of the Cannon building, and they were not put back up. So, they do catch fire, they can be put out. It's not like a battery storage facility with lithium batteries. They are able to be put out with whatever the
Suppression system.
yeah.
So with these solar panels moving forward, what does the county gain by letting these businesses or owners have solar panels on their land? Versus, what does the county gain if
There's a
you
difference, because if you're putting it on your rooftop, the
I'm talking about
county.
land, like-
So just on land, there is some increased valuation to that land. And that's where we would gain the benefit, would be an increased valuation to the land because it has a solar facility based on it.
But are you running it as if it was a business? Because they're getting paid as if it's a business. That would be a business.
Yeah.
It gets assessed as a commercial property, and also if they're leased, the property owner gets the increased income from the leasing.
So you would pay just as if you were a business, regular business running, that your land would be so-and-so per whatever. Okay.
Yep, that is correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do I recall that the buffer zone around the two proposed projects on Ferry's Mill were 75 feet each?
Yes, and we have the fire department review the site plans, and so they provided comments about like the access and the having, access around the facility.
Right, I just want to make, to answer you, I think he said he thought the buffer was 10 to 15 feet, and the plans I saw were 75. Everything okay back here?
I don't know. So I know everyone that's left has already spoken. Is there anything else you would like to bring up tonight? And I know there's some topics that we didn't really address tonight that we had put on here. And we can discuss that at another meeting. But I think it was beneficial to have the open dialogue that we typically don't get to do.
Sure. Okay.
Yes. So is there anything else from any of the board members, since our 4 remaining citizens have opted not to come back forward? So with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much.